Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-splaining the Interwebs. I am your late and questioning host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is, hey, what's up, buddy?
What's going on there? How you doing?
Good. Is my man Q?
It's Q.
From Out of the Darkness.
Not Drexel.
Not Drexel.
No.
How dare you?
Yeah.
They only look a little bit alike.
A tad.
What is happening? Is the video doing something just absolutely ridiculous, or am I crazy?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It might be a little bit of both. Possible.
My video preview window is completely useless, so hopefully you guys are seeing this.
Discount Drexel. All right. Block him now.
Banned! You're all banned! You're all banned! Hey, don't call me a boomer. That is B word to you. That's my word. That is my word. You don't get to use it. Am I handing out B passes now?
No. B passes.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
I mean, not that it's, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd rather be called gay than a boomer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's rough. That's really rough.
I know the struggle now.
Yeah, see? You know the struggle now.
1963.
Said it's the N-word for old people. Well, I don't get that. Like, everybody always says that it's not the ageist word for the N-word. The fact that no one is going to use the real N-word, but we'll say boomer all day long. Just don't hard R it, though. It's a boomer.
Yeah, boomer.
A boomer.
If you with me, it's boomer. Like if you buy my mixtape, it's boomer. Otherwise, don't even try. Don't even try.
Yeah, it's definitely boomer. Don't hard R the boom. Yeah.
This is Q from Out of the Darkness. His channel link is in the description. Some great intelligent talk. I mean, I think. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Little intelligent, little not intelligent, you know, kind of like your show.
Depends on the guest.
Yeah, it depends on the guest. If the guest brings a little intelligence, we'll be intelligent. If I have to do it by myself, well, you get what you get.
Oh, come on. But no, it's a great show. You've had some really good shows lately too.
Yeah, we've had some good shows. I think our favorite was having Liz on. That was Iron Liz. That was a fantastic show. I learned a lot. So, and
then the show you did last week was actually very, very good. I was not on it, but I was watching in the chat.
Yeah, that was good. Tim puts the boom in Booma. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. He is a statist. I'm pretty sure of it.
He's the Republican. I mean, he is the classic Republican 1990s Republican right.
Yeah,
he just is.
Yeah.
And God bless him.
Yeah, he's like the poor man's Dan Quayle.
Yeah.
And I thought Dan Quayle was the poor man's Dan Quayle. So.
Tillip says to tell people to click the eye icon in the corner for a poll. What eye icon in the corner? What is happening? Polls? Did they add polling to this? And why don't I see it?
I don't know.
This is horrifying.
This is voted. Somebody voted. What are you voting for?
I don't know. I don't even know what that means. There's apparently a vote happening. So rock the vote out there. I can't see it. It's not in my chat window, so I don't know where that is or what it is. But I'm glad that Tillip is helping me out with that. All right. So a couple things. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about Michael Drejka today. And that means that I'm going to play a video where a man is shot to death on camera. It's not gory. It's not gruesome. It's not even all that disturbing. It looks like a guy gets stung by a bee and runs away. You're not going to see him die on camera. There's not a blood splatter or anything like that. It's just some grainy surveillance footage from a pretty decent distance. It's in black and white. So it's like you're watching an old George Romero movie or whatever. Where the black guy gets shot. Perfect.
Yeah,
Night of the Living Dead.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm down.
So we are going to see that. So your trigger warning has occurred. It's really like nothing though. You'd be more traumatized from like a good box of cereal than this. But the reason we're going to do it, this is a shooting that occurred about a year ago down in Pinellas County, Florida. I think it was Pinellas County, right?
That sounds about right.
It's the county where the sheriff actually hates the Second Amendment. What are you doing? You voting?
Yeah, heck, I want to vote.
Why are you
Because black people can vote now.
When did they fix that?
Like last week.
It's like Trump, like 12 amendments ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so I figure if they're gonna let me vote, heck nabbit, I'm gonna vote.
Yeah, so this happened in Clearwater, Florida, which is in Pinellas County. We'll talk a little bit. We'll get to the backstory of the case, but this is a shooting that happened about a year ago. It was highly publicized. The case was very publicized. The statements from the sheriff that he wasn't going to arrest the guy who just shot a guy was publicized. It was a white guy shooting a black guy, so that was, of course, and this was in 2018, which had just a lot of that type of activity in the news. So this one was mainlined right into the mainstream media.
That was a rough year to be black and encounter police.
Yeah.
Like that was like I stayed in my house the entire year.
Now all the people shooting black people are dollar store employees.
Right?
I keep seeing dudes robbing a dollar store, getting shot, and then their families getting mad that they got shot.
Hey, they didn't have to do them like that.
I'm not even joking.
They should have called the police. That's what they for.
Exactly.
I'm like, since when did ninjas call the police? I'm like, wait a minute.
They'd show up and just clean out that dollar store.
Right? I'm like, how? So real talk. How bad does your life have to be, and how little ambition do you have to rob a Dollar General? Right? I mean, good. Hey,
oh my God.
That's rock bottom at that point. Like just.
Well, that was the Hodge twins. They were talking about that. One guy's like, you know how much you have to sell at a Dollar General to get $1,000? The guy looks at it like 1,000 things.
I'm serious, man. Like that's when you know, like, my life is over. Like, yeah. And then oh my goodness, you gotta
rob the Dollar General to go buy stuff at the Dollar Tree. That's your progression through your day. Like, you hold up the Dollar General and then you go shop at the Dollar Tree.
So they asked me what was my definition of success in college, and I was like, I want to make enough money so that I don't have to mess with Walmart anymore. Yeah, and I can shop at Target. Like, if I could step up to the white man's Walmart, aka Target, life would be going good. But judging by all the shootings at Walmarts these days, like, yeah, I think I was a visionary. So I'm all about that life. Okay,
I heard your mic was too high, so I turned you down a bit.
Okay, sorry about that.
I got you at 3/5 of my volume.
3/5 of your volume.
Yeah. That's
wait. So
I had the gain up from when Lady Rackets is on because she is quiet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
So she's quiet. You and Drexel are loud. I don't really have any other in-studio guests. Otherwise, I'd have a broader range to compare to.
Well, I mean, you know, we all sound alike.
So silencing the black man. Oh my God.
Not so low key. I mean,
yeah, it was overt.
Yeah, it was pretty overt. He told the whole world. So,
but So anyway,
he's like, oh, you think you can vote, huh?
That's the 2019. That's the 2019 trend I'm seeing is black guys killed by Dollar General employees.
Yeah.
Or guests of the store.
Yeah.
But I've seen 2 different videos of different families complaining that their like sibling or whatever was shot while holding a gun to someone's head.
Yeah, they didn't have to do him like that. Now my brother's dead. It's like, yeah, I mean,
I already lost a sibling earlier this year. Hopefully that wasn't at the Family Dollar. Jeez. Oh.
Yeah. That's that's I even though I explained to another one of your guests before, like, there's a difference in black people and there's a difference in ninjas. That falls under the ninja category, right? We don't claim them over there doing that type of stuff.
You have to shoot ninjas. You can't engage them in hand-to-hand combat.
No,
way too dangerous.
Absolutely not. That's a good way to get a ninja star to the throat.
Right.
Like, yeah,
right.
No, I'm straight.
Like a tonto to the sternum. Can't trust that at all.
Yeah, so, but yeah, you got to stay away from them Dollar Generals these days. So, yeah, none of that. But I mean, I typically have fairly decent interactions at the Dollar General, like, except for they give me like a 12-inch ruler with a key attached to it to use the bathroom. Like, who the hell steals in Dollar General? Like, what is your life really
drop
about?
Drop $1 on the table.
Right.
It's like if I was stealing stuff, I would do that anyway.
Right?
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, man. But yeah, life it's hard out here. This Trump economy, we out here robbing dollar stores.
So we're gonna cover, we're gonna cover Michael Drejka. He's a white guy who he really gets mad when people park in a handicap spot at the Circle 8. I think they're calling it. Is Circle 8 or Circle? I thought it was a Circle K, but I don't think so. But some convenience store by his house, and it's the same one. But we're gonna talk about we're gonna watch the surveillance video first. And then I left my timestamps upstairs, but it doesn't matter. I know where they are. I know them. I've got them memorized. That's how on top of this show I am. But we're going to watch the surveillance video. Then we're going to watch the police interview. Well, we're going to skip a lot of it. And it becomes pretty obvious why we're skipping most of it. Because there's no police in it at all. And it's just a guy sitting in a room, which is boring. But we're going to watch police interview. And then we're going to watch chunks of the sentencing hearing, which I don't have time stamped, but that's because we're going to go through the arguments of each counsel, and then we're going to listen to the judge. And from this, I hope that you guys can walk away with some understanding. I know many of you are pro-Second Amendment. I know many of you, like myself, are pro-Second Amendment. I know many of you are carry holders. I was a carry holder. I'm not currently, but I will be again soon. I just haven't had time to get in for another lesson. Got to get my lessons. And
whatever you do, don't do that discount one that they do up at the am I allowed to say the name that not the Flying J, the Fleet Farm?
Oh, they do a conceal carry at Fleet Farm?
Yeah, but you got to drive like 2 hours to go do your shooting test, like out in the middle of nowhere. I swear I heard banjos. Like it was rough. Like I had to go all the way out to like Fergus Falls.
Oh my goodness!
to do the shooting part of it. So
why don't they just go to like the backyard?
Right? I mean, we passed up like 8 or 9 different shooting ranges. So yeah, but it is what it is. It's I think we just need to go to a constitutional carry in this state.
I think I might be related to someone who does them now anyway.
Oh.
I could probably just get one done here at the house.
Well, no comment on that
one. But we do need to go to constitutional carry.
The only thing that sucks about constitutional carry is if you don't have when I go to other states, if they don't honor the constitutional carry. Then...
Well, lots of states don't honor ours anyway because we don't honor theirs.
Well,
the states I go to anyway, Texas, Florida.
Texas is yeah. You have to do the non-res in Florida or the non-res in Arizona, and then you can pick up Texas with that. So
yeah, I should do that. I'm so lazy.
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of what you people do is paperwork? I mean, that's kind of comes with the badge, right?
I suppose. But yeah, it's the whole finding time to go to the class thing. I just want to go outside and shoot straight into the air. Like
you don't need a
they do over in other countries. I just yell and scream and light a barrel on fire and just fire my gun into the air wildly.
Like FPS Russia.
Yeah.
Aren't you related to him?
I wish. That guy's hilarious. He doesn't get guns anymore.
He doesn't?
No, he got tagged with a felony.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That kind of shuts down your gun game.
Someone innocently mailed him some marijuana. And
innocently, right?
No,
did you hear about that dude that ended up getting that box through Amazon? He ordered this box and it had like 10 pounds of weed in it.
It had 20 pounds of weed in it, to be fair, but he turned in 10. Yeah, I got this box from Amazon. It's like half full of weed.
I mean,
that's weird. Did they put any packaging in there to keep it secure? Nope. just half full.
So
it's half full.
I'm like always the first one to get the packages when they come in from Amazon, but I haven't been so lucky. So yeah.
But no, so Kyle, the FPS Russia guy, yeah, he got someone mailed him marijuana oil. From what I can tell, I'd love to ask him about this. I need to go on their show.
I'm down.
But from what I can tell, they were sealed bottles of oil. And the postman says that he smelled marijuana coming from the box. Which, if it was oil sealed up in glass vials, that is not a truthful
Is the postman
statement.
A German Shepherd?
Yeah. And I don't even buy that, by the way. So I don't trust that at all. And he got tagged. He had to forfeit all his guns.
Because somebody sent him something?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he ordered it.
But
he might have ordered it.
Okay. All right. So he was expecting the package. Somebody sent it to him, but he expect the package.
Was a trash can for the marijuana from Amazon 65 pounds? Is that like the Amazon cartel? Like you got your Amazon Prime and Amazon cartel? Is that Amazon Primo?
Amazon Primo. Yeah, that's a step up. Hey, just let me know where to sign up for that one. That's the ultimate package. I wonder what you'd have to pay for that service. I mean, I'm just asking for a friend.
Hey, you got to pay a lot. Have you been following the cartel news down in like El Chapo's kid both of El Chapo's sons got picked up by the Mexican police, and then their boys broke them out with a gunfight. It was wild. They overran the government forces. The cartels won.
Wow, I hear it's getting hard out here to be a Mormon down in Mexico right now.
Yeah, that was a sad story.
It was sad, especially seeing as how there were kids involved. Like, that's crazy, man.
I've talked about it with Drexel and a couple other people, but have you ever seen the movie The Counselor?
Yeah. Do
you remember the line from Brad Pitt when he's talking about the snuff film? And he says, after you see that, like, normal people don't understand. They think that there's a line of evil which these people will not cross. And there isn't.
No.
And there isn't. So that's what the cartels are useful for, reminding us that humanity can be really darker than we tend to remember. And our cushy Western industrialized.
You ever been in Sudan? People can get really dark.
Yeah.
Like Blurple.
Wait, you can't say that about Sudan. Come on. I'm just sitting here rolling with that joke. That's not allowed.
I'm just saying. I'm not disparaging anybody. I mean, beauty comes in all different shades. Blurple.
And I'd like to
Blurple 42.
I'd like to.
It's like Blurple 64.
I'd like to thank monetization for everything it did during life, but I will remember you fondly in death.
I can say it.
I know, but I rolled with it. I was unwitting. I thought you were talking about the killings and the murders. No, here you are.
Sorry.
You're speaking in Crayola while I'm speaking in homicide. Good God.
Yeah, no, we were all the way on purple Kool-Aid, and you were still rolling with the scotch.
Jeez.
Blurple drink. You guys are on fire tonight. I like it.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to get to Drejka, I promise. What I want you to walk away from this show with is I'm not here to tell you that Drejka did a bad shoot. I'm going to tell you that Drejka did a bad shoot. Some of you are going to disagree with that. You can have your reasons. I'm not here to argue and convince you. I'm going to tell you why I think he did a bad shoot, and I'm going to tell you why the police, the jury, and the judge all agreed that he did a bad shoot. And the reason we're going to do this is because if you are a carry holder, heaven forbid you ever have to pull that gun out on someone and pull the trigger. But if you are, and you do, there are things that you need to do during the situation, before the situation, and after the situation. And we're going to cover all of those bases today on what Michael Drejka did wrong from jump. From the jump of this incident, he is doing everything in the wrong. And that carries through all the way through his trial. All the way through sentencing in his trial, he has made mistakes. You can try and blame his counsel. It looks like he was represented by competent counsel, but they made some strategic choices that may have been theirs. They may have been Drejka's. We won't know that. But those choices ended up with him in prison for 20 years in what he thought was a routine self-defense, stand your ground type of shooting. And it's not. And it's not. And there are reasons why. And we get to watch all of them. So that's the point of today. Now, before we do that, let's quickly talk about the Vic situation, because Vic, there was a hearing set for today. That hearing was opposed. That hearing was supposed to be on submissions only. That was opposed. There's an oral argument hearing tomorrow. That is about the deposition of Chris Slatosh, and is also about the sanctions proposal that Ty and his team have put forth against Jay Sean Lemoyne. So that's what the hearing is about tomorrow. My understanding is that Ty has been subpoenaed to and may have to testify tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to oppose that. I don't know what their plan is on that, but it's my understanding that has happened. So we'll see. I hope to bring you some sort of update on that situation as soon as I can. Of course, tomorrow I've got Dollhouse Phil on the live stream, so there will not be a large Vic segment on the live stream tonight or tomorrow. But I will, if the news is longer to digest than a post, I will probably do a 15-minute video as soon as I hear kind of what's going on with that. But otherwise, if it needs a live stream, I'll do one Saturday. I just don't know. But that's what's going on in Vic's case tomorrow in the early afternoon. So that being said, that's the Vic update that I have. There's not really much to say, but that's where we are with that. So, and Ho's mad. Ho's mad. That's also in the Vic situation. Is just in general, hose mad. So,
okay. You caught me off guard there for a minute.
Well, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me that hoes are mad at me. I've got to get the video. I got to get this video pulled up. So bear with me a second while I get this thing. I don't want the time. I hate. Okay. Let me add this video to the thing so you guys can see it, because I want you guys to be able to see the shooting and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's the John P. Chuppo. That's the you can't teach people how to get away with.
Let's see, we want this one. Okay. This is going to be a little bit bootleg, but not terrible. I'm not going to cover my face either. We're going to move this bad boy. What is happening? Oh my goodness. Wait. Don't worry. I'm on the case, so you know it's going to work just fine. Do we have... Oh my goodness, I think I've got the video set up. Here we go. No, pause. Can we pause, please?
You put the boot in the leg, bro.
This is terrible. The video's just running here.
They're giving you the boomer.
Yeah, hold on. The window's going all sorts of stupid on me. Oh, there. Did it work? No. This is awful. Oh, okay. Okay, I think it's catching up. Why is this so slow? Hold on, I gotta turn the volume up. I gotta turn all our volume way up. I'm sure we're gonna get echo and feedback, and it's gonna be terrible.
I mean, there's no volume in the surveillance film, so you'd be good on that.
No, but it'll be the next one. It'll be the next one. Okay, so I'm gonna transition now. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's covering up the Streamlabs area. Let me, if I move it just a little bit. Nope, that's not what I want. That one? No, that's awful. Oh, it's got to go in front of the overlay. Yeah. Well, we're going to have it here for now. Fear not. Fear not. Okay. Oh, I can put this up here. Yeah. Okay, now the alerts will go over the video, so that'd be annoying. Okay. Can we see is it visible enough?
I can see it.
Okay. We're going to try it. If it doesn't work, I'll put it over my stupid face and we'll get to it. There are there are 2 super chats to read before we get started. We got Brandon Flynn says, "Hey Nick and Q, driving from Washington D.C. to Michigan for Grand Rapids Comic-Con, hoping to sell a lot to get funding for my animation studio. Here's some money. Thanks for all you do." Hey, thanks, buddy, and good luck. I hope you sell a lot too.
Yeah. Animation studio. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I guess if you're into that sort of thing.
I mean, far more talented people than I am.
Right.
I struggle with stick figures, so.
Yeah. Gay and Still at Large says, "Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Jebsplaining the Interjeb. I'm your host, Jeb Rekieta." Rude. That's lower energy than me. Come on. All right. Let me see if I can get this to play. It's not going to play, is it? This is the most communist video. Oh, here we go. No. It's going to play this time. Let me set the scene. Over here on the left, there's a car parked in the handicap spot. All right? Now, this is Michael Drejka's SUV, which is parked illegally. He is parked illegally to address the person who he thinks is parked illegally. Now, she's in the car in the driver's seat. I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but some people that are certainly not lawyers in Minnesota will occasionally, if a different family member has to run into a convenience store to like buy a Twinkie or something, non-lawyers in Minnesota might drive up and hang out in the handicap spot with the car running to just have them run in real quick, grab something, and come back out.
But if you're still in the driver's seat, it's not parking, though. So technically you're not parked. You're just chilling.
I mean, that'd be my argument.
Yeah, I mean, you're not parked. You're chilling.
Right, but I don't do that. I always obey all of the laws to the strictest possible interpretation.
Sure, but I mean, but typically the people that I know that have done it are just chilling, like fire, like the fire lanes.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's a fire, you just move out of the way, right?
Right.
I mean, so
if a wheelchair rolls up. Yeah, you just move out of the spot and let them park their wheelchair and get up and go inside.
You see one of them special vans pull up, like you just back out.
No, I meant they'd park the wheelchair in the spot and they'd get up and walk in.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like roller rinks, I do that all the time.
So, but anyway, so that's the situation. And Drejka is about to approach the vehicle. And here we go. So he's going to go, he's scoping out the vehicle here. He's checking what he's doing. He'll talk about this later. He's checking for a handicap tag, right? Either on the license plate or hanging from the mirror or whatever. He's looking for a reason for this person to be parked here. He cares deeply about this spot. So now he's pointing out that they're in a handicap spot. And I mean, if you look at this, it's actually a poorly marked handicap spot. And the judge points out that it's really in a terrible spot, too. Like, the non-cripples get a much better spot.
Right. I kind of feel like they were given I mean, there were other spots that they could have parked, surely. But the door is on this side of the building, right? So, at the end of the day, she was actually doing them a service by leaving the handicapped people the spot closer to the door, was she not? Why would you make the handicapped people walk all the way across the front of the vehicle?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they don't have a ramp over here. I think that's the main reason.
Got it.
So notice this guy looks over. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" The lady who came out looked over. This is a vocal altercation that's happening right here. She looks over. These guys are peeking out. This is loud enough to cause a disturbance. And this is something that will come into play in this case. Okay, so here's the... Done. So he throws that guy to the ground. He pulls. All right.
I don't mean to laugh, but the reaction of the one guy in the blue shirt, like he sees the gun come out, he's like, "I'm out. Like, yeah, I want no parts of this." So, yeah, like white people are inspiring. Like he saw the gun come out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, no way, I'm gonna stick around for this." So, I'm impressed. His reaction time was fantastic.
Yep. So we're gonna go back to that again because this happens in 2.5 seconds. It's 2.5 seconds from the time the gun is drawn to the time the shot is fired. And there's some confusion over what happened next. And the confusion, Drejka is going to talk about it in his interrogation. We're going to talk about it when he does as well. But I want to point out the chain of events. So this guy hears a bunch of people, according to the witnesses, which that's talked about at the sentencing, I believe. But according to the witnesses, there's a commotion in the store where they're talking about the confrontation going on outside. So then the guy comes out of the store hearing that there's a confrontation going on over at the spot. And he comes out and sees this guy standing at the window confronting his girlfriend and their kids. So he comes out and well, let's go back I want to make sure we get the push and everything in there. So he's walking up and he pushes the guy over. Now, a brief word. He shouldn't have pushed the guy over.
No.
Like, we need to be very clear on that. He shouldn't have... That was supposed to pause. No! Oh my gosh. The input lag on this is terrible. It's like my computer can't handle a browser. It's great. He should not have pushed the guy over. That's a mistake that this guy makes. However, people will argue back and forth over whether he's justified in pushing him. It doesn't really matter as to whether he's justified in pushing him, as to whether or not Drejka is justified in doing the shoot. So I'm going to play it one more time, and we're going to watch. Because some people are confused as to whether he steps forward or steps back. And there's some facts that you're missing if you think he steps forward. But here it comes. So he makes the hit. It happens quick, so watch. Hit. Pulls the gun. He's backed up here and turned to the side. When that shot is fired, he has backed up. He's already backing up. He takes at least 3 steps back. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, shot. And ultimately, those 4 little shuffle steps are what is going to be a big part of the downfall of Michael Drejka.
That plus his own testimony.
Yeah, that plus his interview talk is a big one.
Yeah.
But this is entirely an avoidable tragedy. But real quickly, before we get into the interrogation stuff, and this is Drejka's mistakes we're going to talk about now. But from this situation, the first issue Drejka has is he confronts another person while armed with a firearm. And if you go to a useful concealed carry class or useful license to carry class or different things in different states, they're going to tell you that when you have a gun on you, it is your duty to not be involved in situations, specifically because you have a gun. So if you are approaching a situation and instigating anything, you're putting yourself at a massive amount of risk. And that's what Drejka does here right away. Right off the bat, he is instigating this confrontation. So again, should he have been pushed down? No. But we're going to talk about that justification in a bit.
So let me back up real quick before you jump. So one of the issues that I see in this social media world that we live in nowadays, right, is that real people don't reside in the comment section, right? That is not indicative of real America, right? I don't care what type of issues that a person has. I don't care what type of confrontation. Just about any confrontation can be neutralized with kind words and speaking about things in a calm manner, right? Mm-hmm. So even though I think this is terrible, when I originally saw this a year ago, I saw the guy go up and without any type of I didn't know what the altercation was about. I just saw some guy talking to some woman. This guy comes up, pushes him from the side or behind into the ground, and the guy gets up and shoots him. Now, the problem I have with it is there was at no point should this guy have ever gone up and put his hands on another man. Like, it just should not have happened.
Yep, I agree.
But as a carry holder, I also understand I have a responsibility as well. And my responsibility is to only use a weapon in the event that I feel that my life or my family's life is in danger or in jeopardy. And not to put myself in situations like this where clearly he put his own self in a corner. But seeing it without looking at the interview or anything like that, when I first saw it, I thought, well, that dude's a dummy. Why did he go and push somebody to the ground?
Right.
He got what was coming to him for that.
And I know there's some people out there who are saying that this is full of holes and that there's how is this instigating a confrontation? Well, we're going to get into that because this is how Drejka buries himself in the interrogation, in his justification, and then not just that, but in his history. He has a history of doing this. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So if you're confused now, know that what we're doing right now is explaining why this situation is bad from the surveillance tape for Drejka. And again, not justifying the push, because I don't think the push is justified. The guy should have said, hey, what's up? You know, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But he reacted in a poor way. And that's the tragedy of the situation, is this is how someone dies. And someone dies over a parking spot, and one guy being way too anal about this parking spot, and then one guy being way too quick to violence.
Right.
And then the guy who's anal over the parking spot being way too quick to shoot.
I think the biggest thing about this that I take away from it is this entire situation. Someone is dead. There's kids that are going to grow up without a father. There's mothers that's going to go without a son. But this was all avoidable. Every last bit of this was avoidable. And both sides had an opportunity to save a life that day, and they both reacted poorly. So yeah. Anyway, let's go on to the next one.
Yep. Okay. Let me see. You said I gotta move it here. Okay.
I was trying to stall and give you a chance to switch videos while nobody's looking.
Keep stalling.
I was trying to help you, but you didn't pick up on it. It was an alley-oop, and you totally bombed, bro.
Yeah, I know. This window is so laggy. Excuse me. I gotta shut down like several other windows I have, or things I have open. That'll help, maybe. Get out of there. Okay. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. All right, maybe that'll clean up the performance over here. No, it's fine. I hate everything. I just want... Oh, no. Here. I've got these videos in my history. I just got to get it pulled up. Oh, I can tell you part of why this is so slow. So to actually get Chrome to feed into Streamlabs, you have to have software... You can't use the hardware acceleration on your computer, because if you use hardware acceleration, it just doesn't work. So you have to use the software acceleration, which means it's it just isn't useful at all. Okay, here's the police interview. Now, no, I don't want.
So let me ask you this. So when you in the state that we live in, well, we're in Minnesota, like
that's not a secret.
Okay, that's not a secret. Okay, so in the state that we live in, I was under the impression that you could not brandish your weapon.
Hold on one second. There we go.
All right. I was under the impression that brandishing your weapon could be tried as attempted murder if you did not have a legitimate reason to do so. Is that true or no?
I don't know that it would be attempted murder. I think so. To effect a crime of attempt, an attempted crime, you have to go to the point where you would have commit the crime if not otherwise stopped.
Okay.
So just brandishing, it would be hard to suggest that person attempted to murder someone when they didn't actually pull a trigger, unless they were prevented from pulling the trigger.
Right.
But it is possible that could happen. Like if you brandish your gun and someone tackles you,
right,
you may have done enough to attempt at that point.
Right.
But so I think when they say stuff like that, it's a very cautionary sort of approach. Right. But
I think that the guy who did my class, I think it was a matter of he wanted to. I think half the people that graduated from that class didn't even go in and get their permit. Like they were so scared to like actually carry afterwards that they didn't even get it. My sister was one of them. She never even got her carry permit.
Right.
She took the class, did all of it, and was like, "Nah, I don't want to be responsible for it." So, I mean, because it is a responsibility. And
we'll hear Drejka say this, and this is sound advice. If you pull the gun, you should have every intention to shoot.
Right.
That's the best legal frame of mind to be in, is that if you are at the stage of pulling the gun, you should be prepared to pull the trigger.
But you don't pull it unless you feel that your life or your family's life is in jeopardy.
Yeah, the standard in Minnesota and in Florida, which will come into play, is that you have to be a reasonable person would have to be in a legitimate fear of imminent death or serious bodily injury. Now, serious bodily injury involves head injuries. And we won't talk too much about the Zimmerman case, but that's part of why Zimmerman was let go, is because he was, they had evidence that he was suffering potential severe head trauma during the encounter. We can talk for days about all of the, he shouldn't have been in that situation. But just from an explanation point of view, head injuries are serious bodily injuries. Broken bones, or like severed limbs. Someone pulls a sword on you, or a knife or an axe. Those you're then in imminent fear of serious bodily injury. Knives, edged weapons, grievous permanent injury is included as well. So permanent scarring, that would be obvious. Not like you happen to get a scrape from falling down, like someone pulls out a cleaver and is swinging it at your shoulder or something.
Yeah, so
that's going to leave a mark.
So paper cuts, no matter how bad they might hurt, don't constitute serious bodily injury.
Right.
But if they come at you,
that'd have to be a mean piece of paper,
right? So,
yeah.
But if they come at you with the lime juice afterwards, like, that hurts.
Yeah, that's rude. That's rude. But yeah, so if you can talk to a lot of different professionals in security and law enforcement, and knives are almost always a justifiable shoot. Always bring a gun to a knife fight. Yeah.
If you find yourself in a fair fight, you are in the wrong situation. So.
But okay, so I'm gonna skip around in this video a little bit, but they bring him in handcuffs. He's arrested. When you kill someone, actually, he doesn't know that the guy's dead yet.
Right.
So he doesn't know that the guy's dead. But if you kill someone with a gun, you're gonna get arrested. They're gonna take you in. Doesn't mean you're gonna be detained necessarily, but one of the things I tell people when I do, a self-defense shooting sort of class or seminar or whatever, I tell them you need to prepare to be in jail for at least the night. So when you call in, that if you've engaged in a shoot, you call into the police and you say, I've shot someone in self-defense. Please send someone over, and you tell them, you describe yourself and let them know that you're armed, but you're expecting police or whatever. Or if you can unload your firearm and give the firearm to someone else and tell them you're unarmed, someone you trust. Not, I don't always recommend putting it in your car. If you put it in your car, that's immediate justification to search your car, and maybe you got some drugs in there or something. So be careful. But whatever the case, your second call should be to a lawyer, and your third call should be to a loved one to make sure your stuff is taken care of, your house is locked up. If you got kids that need to be picked up from a daycare, I mean, the police will facilitate that, but it's much better to have a friend or a family member do it if you can. But be prepared to go to jail for a long time, for that day, maybe even overnight. Even if it's justified, that's going to happen, and they're going to take your gun away.
Yeah. So. Our relationship began in a really cool way. I wasn't sure what I thought about you, Nick, but the very first time I met you, the first thing you ever said was, you remember?
No.
Don't talk to the cops.
That's how I actually am in real life.
That's how you introduced yourself. Don't talk to the cops. I like this dude. Sound advice. But
so you have two phases to a self-defense encounter. You have your self-defense that keeps you breathing, and that's the most important one. But a darn close second is your legal defense, which starts before everything, but it continues through the entire process. Drejka made a lot of mistakes, but he legitimately could argue. I don't know that he'd win, because the video is, when you slow it down especially, which I'm not going to go through that. I don't have the technical prowess to do that live. But if you slow it down, you can see the backing up. And when you show that to a jury, Even if in reality it's 2 seconds, it's really fast, your heart is pounding, you're terrified, you've just been knocked down, it's hard to overcome the video evidence shown in slow motion to a jury who has not pulled a gun on someone and shot him. But at this point, Drejka still does have an avenue to defense, and he is going to dump all over that in this interview. But here's the thing. You're under arrest. This is where I'm going with this. My ADD is kicking in. But you're under arrest at this point. He's in handcuffs. The police have escorted him into a room, and this guy seems to have no idea that he is going to sign his own jail ticket in this interview.
Yeah.
He thinks that he is justified in this shoot. That is apparent through the talking. But I want to bring this up. So here's how it starts.
So from a legal standpoint, right, Nick? So
yeah,
if a person finds himself in this situation,
yeah,
right, does it make you seem any more guilty if you say I'm not talking to anyone until my lawyer gets here?
No. I mean, it may make you seem that way, but they can't use that against you.
Okay.
And here's a trick. They already think you're guilty. You just shot someone.
Yeah.
They don't know your self-defense story. That's a defense that comes in court. Now, this case is weird because Drejka was not, I mean, he was arrested, but he's released right after this. And he's not rearrested for something like 25 days because the sheriff decides he's going to make an announcement that this is a legitimate stand your ground case. It's not. It's actually nothing like stand your ground. This is just regular run-of-the-mill justifiable use of deadly force. But he makes that statement and he says we can't arrest him, which is dumb, or we can't charge him because of this law. But stand your ground, how it works in Florida, is actually a pretrial motion that you make to get the case dismissed. It is not a determination made by an investigating officer that says, well, stand your ground, it's fine. No, they can say it's justifiable and they don't want to press charges at the time. That's okay. But that's not how stand your ground specifically works. So he's in regular territory, but he did just shoot someone. Cops have him in handcuffs, but he seems completely oblivious to the fact that he is under arrest for shooting someone and they think you did it. So to answer your question succinctly, it might make you look guilty, but they already think you're guilty. So there's no harm to you in looking a little more guilty by wanting to talk to a lawyer. And you have everything to gain from having a lawyer come in. Remember, you shot someone, you're in a confrontation, your adrenaline is up, you're not thinking clearly, you're not prepared for what Drejka is about to endure. You're just not.
He's been cooperative with me, though.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's take them.
Infernal Iris.
You gonna be cool?
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know you. I don't know nothing about what's going on.
I know. You have my absolute
Okay.
word, sir. Detective?
Yes.
You have my word, detective.
Is your watch here? Is it a smart watch or anything like that?
No, it's
Okay.
just Timex. No smartphones, no nothing.
First, gonna come up and
What's this?
cigarettes on a lighter pile bag.
He's the only thing I left in there.
What's in that brown bag?
That's his phone. That's not music.
Hey, what's up?
Holster magazine with
Oh,
some
you
rounds in
copyright
it.
struck for that phone.
What's that?
See what he wants when he comes back.
Yeah.
I'm just literally walking into that. As you saw.
Yep.
Okay, this ends in just a second. We're gonna skip ahead, but
Okay.
What they doing?
okay.
Yesterday, today.
So
Citrus County.
they're about to exchange pleasantries while they all wait, and he's about to wait for almost an hour to even talk to anybody. There's something that happens at 6 minutes and 35 seconds, which we're going to get to in just a second here. But he's brought in handcuffs, and he's in an interrogation room. Whoops. I want to go to here. And then, they kind of hang out there, chitter chatter a little bit, nothing important. And then he waits for a couple minutes, and then he's going to have a brief encounter here that I just want to point out what he's trying to do. He's trying to levy his defense, and this is why you have a lawyer help you, because this isn't useful. But before we do that, Dirk Lamont says the Drejka guy sounds like an older version of Andy Race-Worski. Aim, aim, aim! We will defend ourselves. Stay back. Okay. So here we are. We're gonna resume. This is now about 4 minutes later. He's sitting in the room waiting. And there's a lot of this with the police. You sit and wait. This is intentional for you to sit and wait.
Here you go. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, I brought him some
Anything
water.
else right now? All right. At the same time, we'll do this as quick as we can. Okay? Thanks. Yes, sir. So you're holding your arm. Is it hurt or something?
Yeah, everything's starting to get sore, where it hit me from behind and where I landed. That's all. Everything's.
Is anything broken?
No.
Torn?
No.
Okay. All right.
Straight up.
Okay.
Okay, so he's that's it. Great encounter. Good timing there. He's trying to establish right now, this is not a great attempt at it, but he's trying to establish that he was hit, that he suffered some sort of pain or injury, and you know, he's been holding his arm this whole way. When the detectives come in a little bit, in 30 something minutes, he's gonna shake their hands with his left hand, and he's really gonna try and bank on the fact that his arm hurts a little bit as justification for the shoot. I just wanted to show that clip. It's basically pointless, but this is his idea of, you know, showing that he was right to do it, but at the same time, he does seem to be completely unaware that he is that he's actually being questioned for a crime here. And I say that because we're going to jump ahead to 44 minutes. So this is at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. We're going to jump ahead to 44 minutes now, where nothing happens. He just sits in this room. One interesting thing I've heard a speaker say, and this is on the Don't Talk to the Police video that's pretty famous. The second speaker is a former cop. He says, I'm getting paid overtime to do this interrogation. You're not. I am. I'm happy to be there all day. I'll wait. They want him off his guard a little bit.
And that's why they're making him sit there and wait and just get frustrated, and hopefully that he'll get frustrated enough to just start spilling his guts, right?
It's almost like it works.
Well, it looks like, for sure. 35
minutes is an eternity in a box.
Well,
right?
I mean, especially in that situation. I mean, I have to imagine. I literally hope and pray I never have to use my weapon. If I do, then, you know, obviously I will, but I hope that I don't. But I can't imagine after shooting someone at this point. I mean, if I remember, he doesn't know that he's passed away at this point.
No, he's going to learn that in the interview.
So, I mean, the blood's still got to be pumping. I mean, that's a pretty traumatic thing, right? So, I mean, at this point, he's just sitting there. They've got him waiting. They've got him stewing a little bit.
And this is going to feel like hours.
Oh, yeah. It's going to feel, I mean, there's no clock in there. I mean, this place is literally set up to be like a what do they call it? What's the word that they use? I mean, it seems like an asylum room, but yeah, it's
like a padded room. Almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely set up for the purpose of making you want to just say whatever you have to say to get out of there.
Yeah. So we're gonna start. This is right before the first detective comes in to actually conduct a talk, and we'll pause it here and there, but. Even this, like, 15 seconds feels eternal of just silence.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, how you doing? I'm Detective Upton.
Left hand, please.
Left hand, okay.
Right hand can't
Sorry
shake.
to have to meet you under these stressful circumstances a little bit.
Myself as well.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not the, this is Detective Shields, I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you, sir.
He's about to say, I have to like anticipate a second ahead because of the input delay on this stupid window. I don't know why, but he's about to say, I'm not the case officer on your case. That doesn't matter. There's a rule of evidence in criminal prosecutions where the entire knowledge of the police department is imputed across the entire police department.
Right.
So, if one officer knows it, the rest of the department is presumed to know it. So just so you know, that's a tactic. I'm not your case officer. You can talk to me. I'm not your case officer or anything like that.
But I love it how they come in there like, oh yeah, I'm your buddy. I'm here to help you. Like,
yeah.
No, you're not.
They're never there to help you.
No, you're here to get me to hang myself is what you're here to do.
Yeah.
Like
that's a lynching.
Come on now.
Trump said it. I'm allowed to say it.
No, white people can't be lynched.
I thought if Trump said it, I was allowed to say it.
No, absolutely not.
I got it backwards.
No, Trump's a
Biden said it. Can I say it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Phew.
Yeah. Biden.
Got it.
Yeah. Biden said it. You can say it. You're good. But no, if Trump says it, he's got privileges. You don't.
Now, we're speaking in generalizations about police interactions, but there's one generalization that is true. If you've just shot someone, they are not on your side. They're not. Even if they end up being on your side, you have to treat them like they're not, because they're not until they are. Not they are until they aren't. They're not until they are.
But you also have to realize that in his state of mind, he feels like they are on his side.
Yes.
Because in his state of mind, he feels like, I mean, just maybe I'm wrong on this, but just in watching this, he seems like he feels like he has crossed every T, dotted every I, that he has done things exactly the way that he was supposed to do them.
Now, you're going to notice some mannerisms that he has that crack me up, because you know this guy. If you know anybody who carries, there's like a 90% chance that you've met someone like this. He's going to use terms that sound tactical.
Yeah.
In how he describes a situation. He's going to talk in terms that he thinks the police will identify with. And that's my favorite thing.
And the one guy's like, what are you talking about?
He's not talking like a normal human. He's going to talk about like discharge. He's going to talk about, you'll notice. I can't remember the exact words he uses, but they're great. They're great. So let's get a watch on this.
I'm not the case agent in this. I'm a detective in the same unit. The case agent and the assistant case agent, if that makes any sense to you, are going to come speak to you in just a few moments, okay? Of course, before any of us speak to you and try to go into any kind of details about anything or anything like that, I'd like to read you your rights. Are you familiar with your rights, Miranda rights? Okay, you know how to read and write?
You're under arrest, homie!
What's the highest grade level that you completed?
12th.
Did you have any college?
No.
Okay.
On the job,
All right. So I'm just going to read these to you, and I'll let you read along with me, so you know this is exactly what I'm saying. You understand that you have the right to remain silent?
Use it.
I'm going to need a verbal response,
Yes, sir.
if you will. Okay. Do you understand that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that you have the right to speak to a lawyer and have him or her present while you're being questioned?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before questioning if you wish?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that you can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand each of these rights I have just explained to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have you initial each one of these that you verbalize yes to me, best you can there.
No problem.
Okay?
All right. In case you're confused about the situation, if they read you your Miranda rights, you're under arrest. If they proceed to make you initial your Miranda rights, that's them telling you again, you're under arrest. They have to give you some sort of clue that they're not on your side, but this is about it. But they're telling him, and he just doesn't buy it. He thinks he's fine here, and you need a lawyer for this interview. You do. You need one, and you need a criminal defense attorney for this interview. The best one you can afford. This is the rest of your life is going to go away if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
So. I acknowledge all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Heck. I don't need no lawyer. I'm good.
I don't trust that guy.
I don't trust that guy. They're just gonna take all my money.
And then I'll have you, if you will, print your name right here.
Did he even read it?
Can he read it? I don't know.
And yeah, signature right there, if you will.
He seems to be using that right hand pretty well.
Yeah.
He
not hurting too much.
Right.
Today's date is July 19th.
Sure signed his name in her.
2018. The time right now is 18:12 hours, which is 6:12 p.m. And again, I am Detective Upton. And this report is going to be SO 18-225-724. Okay. The reason we wanted to do that first, of course,
it's because you're under arrest.
I think, again, the case agents are going to come in here in just a few moments. It's my understanding that your vehicle is still.
It's not a problem.
It's at the store.
Right by my house, so.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. We have
meanwhile, this dude is double parked.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
It's fine. It's by my house. Yeah, but bro, you're illegally parked. We got to do something about this thing. Yeah, but it's by my house though. It's cool.
It's pretty much my neighborhood.
He's the reason why we wanted to Mirandize you in brackets is because you're under arrest. Now what I'm gonna ask is if we can search your vehicle. That's what he's about to do. He's about to ask this. But listen how he transitions. The reason why we wanted to Mirandize you is just because your car's sitting there. That's why. It's like, what does my car have to do with me speaking on this issue at all? Is nothing. But cops don't have to tell you the truth. If you are being Mirandized, again, you're under arrest. And
if you're gonna lie to me, at least make it a good lie. Like, give me the respect of making.
I was gonna say that's the level of respect that they have for this guy, and cops do this every day. That's one hard thing to remember. They do it every day. You don't, and they know that.
Yeah,
they know that they have every advantage in this situation. Asmodea says, "Yo, Nick, ever seen the channel called JCS Criminal Psychology?" Yes. I've watched his video on this interview. It's really good. It's really good. I would, I should put it in the stream, a link to it, because it's a great video. And I did watch it before this. So I'll probably borrow some of the points that I agree with on him, but I'm going to try and hopefully make many more points than he did, because he doesn't talk too much during the interview, but it is really good. It's a good watch. It's a little bit different from the lawyer's perspective. It's talking about it from the criminal psychologist's perspective, but it is a good video. But yeah, I'll try and get that link thrown in the description because it's great. You should check it out. You might collab with them in some way on interrogations, interviews like this one. Q, love your shows. And oh wait, I read that one. Okay, let's get back to it.
That parking lot, really? I never have. That's my store. I go in there every day.
You guys just live right around the corner?
That's my store.
Right around the corner.
Okay.
My hood.
Would you be willing to give us consent to go inside your vehicle and just for documentation purposes and that kind of thing?
Shit, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have this form right here. You said you can read and write. I'll let you read
go
this,
look at all
and
my
if you
stuff.
fully understand it, we'll proceed, and I'll just get your signature, and then I'll get the case.
This is not legal advice, but never consent to a search. Ever, 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 ever. There is never a reason to consent to the search. Ever.
So is there? I mean, I don't mean to be a jerk, but is it ever smart to try to make the cop's job easier?
No.
Like, do you get any extra brownie points?
No.
For trying to make the cop's job easier? Like,
this guy's gonna get sentenced to 20 years in prison. That they searched his car for free didn't help.
I mean,
it might not have hurt him. I don't think they found anything in the car.
He's like, hey,
in this case.
Hey, Phil, like, I just shot a black guy. I mean,
but yeah,
we're good, right?
Yeah. You guys do this all the time. We're fine.
I mean,
I read it in the manual.
Saved you a bullet.
I downloaded the Pinellas County Deputies Manual, and that's how I learned how to do that. No, you never consent to the search. That's not legal advice. Obviously, talk to a lawyer in your jurisdiction, but seriously, just don't. Because if they're gonna search, especially with a car, they don't need your consent. All they need is probable cause. The vehicle itself is an exception to the warrant requirements. They're not going to have to get a warrant. All they need is probable cause search. Reality, they probably have probable cause to search your car if you just shot someone. Except he wasn't in his car. He wasn't in that car when he shot someone. He didn't go get the gun from the car on the video. The only thing they have is that the car is parked illegally.
But didn't he put the gun back in the car?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he put the...
I think he says he did that. Which,
yeah, so technically they have the right to go to the car.
They would have it anyway.
And whatever they happen to smell or see in the glove box, I mean, it's in plain sight, right?
Yeah.
It's in the glove box.
Well, even in the glove box is in plain sight, yes. It is. That's how it goes. I think even behind the wall panels of the doors is in plain sight.
Yeah, well, for sure.
It's a mess. But still, just this doesn't hurt him. But it doesn't help him. It doesn't help you. And most importantly, you never know what someone else in your car might have dropped. I'm not saying you all have drugs, but all of your passengers might have. And you don't know what falls out. And you don't know what falls out of the cop's pocket either. I'm not trying to be rude or conspiracy theorist on that, but it does happen.
I hate when that happens, man.
Don't consent to the search.
I hate when the cops drop dime bags in my car.
And it's simple. You don't have to be like, no! I'm a free inhabitant. You were impeding my traveling. You don't have to say that. You just say, you know what? I'm not actually comfortable with consenting to a search, but if you get a warrant or whatever, go for it. I wouldn't say that either. Just say I'm not comfortable consenting to a search.
Man, I just act like I'm completely mute. Like I just hand them your business card typically, and I just say anything.
No to literally everything.
I say like no comprendo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need a translator. It's also my lawyer.
License and registration. He no here. Okay, we're almost through this first video with the useful stuff.
Case agents in here in just a few moments, okay? You okay with that?
Vehicle, correct?
Yes, it's the vehicle. That's for the vehicle only. List your VIN number here, your tag. You do own a 2006 Toyota 4Runner, correct?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
All right.
One thing I gotta say, when the cops drop the weed, you always know it's always the stinkiest, most terrible, seedy stuff
You need any more
ever.
water or anything? You need to use the restroom?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, just be patient with us, and we'll get those guys in here shortly, okay?
I really
All
don't
right.
have a choice.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, thank you. Actually, yes,
Bathroom, come on.
This dude was a freaking hall monitor. You know
Let me
it.
just make
Like,
sure that the this place is clear
he
of
wanted to
all
be a cop.
persons that are-
His dad was a cop, and his dad said, "If you're ever a cop, I'll beat you to death or something." So he goes to the bathroom, and this is literally the end of this. The useful stuff on this video. There's another 10 minutes of video, but it's not important. We're gonna go to the second video, which is right here, and it's gonna load up probably where I left off. But we're gonna. Oh, it's perfect. It's actually perfect. This is so they let him sit for another 15 minutes. Or he goes to the bathroom and then he sits for another 15 minutes. So he's sat talking to no one for a total of about 50 minutes so far. And he's got a significant amount of talking to do now. And we're going to watch a lot of this video. So I'll try and stop it as little as possible, but we have to add enough commentary or whatever, just to make sure there's no issues with copyright and all that stuff. But so I will stop it occasionally, but we're going to roll into it. So about 15 minutes has gone by since the last officer leaves, and now the case officer is going to come in, and his assistant is going to talk to two guys who are less dressed up. If they bring in guys who are less dressed up than the last guy, you're under arrest. Like when you go from the guy who's in the button up and the tie to the guy who's in the printed polo that says sheriff, like that's how you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the pokey.
So here we go.
Hey, my name's George Moffett. This is Richie Remember. Gentlemen. You've been sitting here for a while. You need to use the restroom right now? Yes, please. Okay. Let me make sure nobody out. Okay.
He just used the restroom.
That was like an hour ago.
I don't think there's anybody here right now.
Say again?
I don't think there's anybody here right now. Nobody's done the badge.
She uses me last.
So we're good. When did you get Panther?
I was like, oh my God, that was 18 years old.
Yeah? You were 18 years old?
That was the first one.
I got a thing for old school tattoos. Where'd you get it?
Oh my God.
Well, this is like a minute-long bathroom break. And because of the delay, I don't want to mess with the...
I have a thing for old school tattoos. What the hell?
You gotta build that rapport wherever you can. Cops are the best salesmen.
Where'd you get it?
Look at him. Checking out the cameras. We got this, right? Why do you move the table? Got his recorder. If they're recording your conversation, you're under arrest. Legitimately, though, being under arrest means you're not free to leave. A reasonable person would not feel free to leave. Do you think he feels free to leave? No, of course not. Got two cops.
Just to reiterate now, my name's George Moffett. This is Richie Redmond, or the Punahou County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to put this on record, so I'm going to ask you to write down hard things and stuff like that, okay? All right, we're just here at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, North District Station. Today's date's July 19th, 2018. We just want to talk to you, reference today's shooting that occurred at 1201 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater.
How often do the cops just talk to you? Like when you're just hanging around, do the cops ever sit you down at a table with a recorder and a notebook and just want to have a conversation over coffee or donuts or something? No, they never. Why? People believe this all the time. We just want to talk to you. You don't talk to cops in your average day.
Yeah, most people. General Flynn fell for that okie doke before, and that didn't go too well. Just want to have a conversation. Yeah. Just want to visit.
Yeah, never. Literally never.
Florida, to reference case number SO18-225724. Approximate time is about 20-30 hours. Just go through your kind of day, like right before you get to the store.
Oh, just coming back, going home, stopping at the store first, and then right around the corner to home.
Where do you live at, sir?
1116 Charles Street, Clearwater.
Oops.
It's in the Edgewater neighborhood. It's right off Sunset Point there.
1116
Charles Street.
That's an old address. It's not doxed. His new address is prison.
What's the zip code?
Cell Block C.
And what's your phone? You got a current phone number?
727-543-5138.
That's your primary phone number?
Only phone, yes.
Okay. Are you employed, sir?
No, sir. Retired.
Okay. Good for you, man.
Well, it never lasts.
I wish I was retired.
Yeah, it never lasts. I got to retire for about 13 years, and now it's that time. We can come back, you know.
Can you spell your first name? Is it common spelling?
Common spelling.
Hold up.
How are your license plate making skills?
he's about to get a fresh job with the state. Right. How fortunate that he's done being retired now after 13 years, and now he's ready to re-enter the labor force.
If I give you this stick in a trash bag, how much trash can you pick up in 20 minutes? Yeah.
You're gonna wash in other men's underwear?
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, they're all the same color.
Yeah. You do something strange for a piece of chain. How many cartons of cigarettes will this get me?
Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Your last name?
Drejka, Drejka.
And what's your date of birth, sir?
8570.
Okay. You mind if I call you Michael?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Oh, they're on
You
first
call me
name
George.
basis now. Oh yeah.
So just walk through.
Sure, George.
You leave your house and you drive up to the store?
No, I was coming back from the Wawa down on Missouri and Rosary to get some cash and headed home. Stop by the store, boom.
Oh, okay. So you get to the store, tell me, kind of walk me through what happens.
Well, I park my car, and that's my store. I'm there every day, plain and simple. And
Right, that's my store.
Every day there's somebody pulled in
Okay. This isn't good for you. He lies, right? He says he parks his car, which he puts his car in park. That's a very different thing. He doesn't actually park his car. He's not in a spot. And the judge is going to make fun of him right before the judge sends him to prison for what is the rest of his useful life. The judge is going to make fun of him for parking illegally. And that factors into his sentencing in some way. Like, make no mistake, it actually does. If a judge is going to talk about what the irony of the whole case is, the funniest part of it, dead guy, the funniest part of this is that this guy parked illegally. That's going through the judge's mind, and that's a legitimate factor in the sentencing, is that he didn't park his car. He stopped his car and put it in park in the middle of the lot where there are no lines. And he says he parks his car here. The cops know he didn't park his car there. He should know that, but he's so blinded by the fact that someone's in a handicap spot at his store, right? He keeps saying that, as you're pointing out.
That's my store.
He thinks it's his.
Yeah.
And this is going to be part of, this is where his trouble is brewing here.
handicap spot there, just waiting on somebody.
Okay.
So I have a pet peeve about it.
Sure.
I, said, do you mind, moving? There's a spot next door and there's spots out front. I said, would you mind moving and waiting on somebody? And
So there's plenty more spots.
there's plenty more spots,
Okay.
yes. And she took that as an affront that I would speak to her that way. Started getting a little, yelling, and then of course.
So you walk up to her car?
Actually, I was walking around it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because I parked here, she was here.
Okay.
It's a weird
I
spot
just
layout, bro.
checked for placards, plain and simple. And she inquired about what was going on. So,
Okay.
and that's when I told her, about the handicap spots.
What did you tell her?
I said, it's not very polite to park here when there's other people who need to use this. She says, is it affecting you directly? I said, if my mother-in-law rolls in, yes, it will be. So, there's nothing, there was none of that between us at all.
Okay.
No, nothing. It was just heated words, that's all. About
Okay.
how I was speaking to her, I guess.
Okay.
She said, what do I have to do to get my man? I said, well, what's going to happen then? And a little more arguing back and forth, and I never saw what hit me from
She was the driver of the car?
She was in the car. She was the
Okay.
only person in the car.
All right.
Okay, so he tries to lay in the threat there. He tries to lay in the fact, because she brings up her man. He says, what's going to happen then? He doesn't include her answer. But this doesn't matter. Because at this point, the threat, he doesn't know. At the time of the conversation, she can say something about her man. He doesn't know if he's in the store. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He doesn't know if he's a big fat white guy. He doesn't know if it's his brother. He doesn't know anything about this. But he's trying to retroactively go back and use this as indication of what's going to happen to him when he gets pushed. This is, again, hold on. This is where I'm getting an indication that we're not getting enough. we got some lag. I'm going to try and clean that up on my end real quick. Okay. So hopefully that will fix this up. It would be really lovely. Okay, looks like it's good. That was some boomering on my part. He's trying to establish his defense in all of the wrong places here. What matters in justifiable use of deadly force cases is, would a reasonable person similarly situated be in imminent fear of death or serious bodily injury? Not, did the woman say her man was going to come out and then he's going to do whatever? That, because you don't know. You haven't even seen him. It could be a twerpy little guy. It could be some guy who's going to come out and yell at you. You don't know what's going to happen. So he's trying to establish his defense here, and he's going to fail to establish it where it matters.
A lawyer would have known that, though, right?
Well, a lawyer might kind of focus on that, but overall, the lawyer's gonna have him not answering these questions in the first place. That's going to be critical to this. Is the lawyer is going to say, "What did you do?" Don't answer that. You don't need to answer any of this.
Now, where were you exactly?
Yeah, we'll answer these questions later.
My client's been through a lot.
Right. Listen, here's how the lawyer handles this situation. My client was knocked to the ground, felt threatened, feared for his life, pulled his gun, and fired. As he is legally justified in doing so, let him go. And you're going to, well, we just want to ask this stuff. You can ask, but I'm going to advise him not to answer any questions because my client was knocked to the ground, felt threatened, in fear for his life, pulled his gun and fired, as he is legally justified in doing so. And that's the end of the story. I'm going to advise my client not to answer any of these other questions. So you can either let him go or you can arrest him. And that's what they'd have to do at that point. Because if they... Now, you're under arrest for Fourth Amendment purposes. You're under arrest for Fifth Amendment purposes. But there's a different level of arrest when they say, okay, we're going to arrest him and charge him. Then they can force him to answer more questions. Then he has to, actively plead the Fifth and all of that stuff. And it gets messier. But a lawyer is going to consistently state, my client was knocked down. That's his biggest defense. He was knocked down. He felt threatened, was in fear for his life, drew and fired. That's the end of the story. What more could you possibly need to know about this situation? Well, we want to know about all the confrontation. Doesn't matter. My client was knocked down, felt threatened, in fear for his life, drew his gun and fired. Those are the facts of this case. That's it. And that's how the lawyer isn't going to be sitting there wasting time on all of this stuff. So, okay, here we go. Back to it.
That I know of.
You didn't see anybody else on the car?
Tinted windows, almost dark,
Okay.
couldn't see through.
All right. So you guys are talking.
Yeah, exactly. She's out of the car by this time.
Okay.
Standing next to it.
She was dark.
Okay.
Windows were dark. I couldn't see nothing.
On the left side and thrown straight backwards in line with her car.
Okay.
So if you saw the two white ladder lines next to the thing, that's where I was standing. Okay, so I went almost straight back after I got hit.
What do you mean hit?
I was standing like this talking to her.
Okay.
I was hit from right here.
Would you suggest that he act the whole thing out? Like, I mean,
Oh,
I know.
okay.
And then
All
I
right.
hit the ground.
he might have been a
Okay.
mime back in high school.
He
but
probably doesn't realize that, like, the 2 hours or whatever since the incident happened, or 3, I don't even know what time the incident happened, but the time that's lapsed, he probably does not realize that the cops have watched the video.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you are suffering from PTSD, right? I mean, which obviously you could expect that in a situation like this he would. If his story changes after this point, is it acceptable to think that, well, he had just come out of a really traumatic experience, or is that going to bite him in the butt later on?
It will bite him. The funny thing is, despite the fact that he's clearly that anyone in this situation, I think Drejka is an idiot, but that doesn't change the fact that anybody in this situation is not capable of doing this. They're not capable of dealing with this interview. Their blood is up. Like I said, their adrenaline is up. They're not thinking correctly. They might be in some sort of shock or trauma. That's why you get a lawyer to focus on what's important and not answer these questions. But typically, what the court is going to say and what the prosecutor is going to argue is, if you have a different story, you're going to say, well, why would we think that a fact that comes out later after you're charged with a crime is the right fact rather than the one that you were speaking candidly with officers about right after the incident?
Sure.
Now you've had time to think through and change your story. Wouldn't you agree that typically you remember things best right after they happen rather than a month later? And how do you answer no to that? By the way, you should answer no to that. No, I don't agree to that. But that's what they're going for at this point.
I think it's also safe to remember that anytime the police ask you a question, the same question twice in a row, because they didn't like the first answer.
Yeah.
So like you have to think about that answer probably again.
But no, to get back to the original question though, is should he be acting this out? No. He should say, I was knocked down. Well, how did it happen? I don't really know. I was knocked to the ground by an angry person who barreled into me. I don't know where I was. My arm hurts.
I need medical attention.
But here we go. Back to it.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll get somebody to take pictures of all this.
I'm not worried about that too much, but I'm pretty sure I landed my wrist under my gun, actually. That's how I landed, because that's hurting like a son of a bitch now.
I'm not worried
So you
about
landed
that.
on the pavement?
Shouldn't you be worried about that?
Okay.
I was on the ground. So that time I had to put hand down to get hand out from underneath. As I come out, I start drawing my weapon. As I start leveling off my weapon, he makes his next step towards me, and 21-foot rule. I'm on the ground already.
Right. Okay.
It happened so fast.
Okay, so JCS, the criminal psychology guy, he points out what he's talking about here with the 21-foot rule, and the idea. I'm poaching this from him, but it's a commonly held understanding that if someone is within 21 feet of you, they will reach you before you can draw and fire if they're advancing. Is the idea. That is. It can be true. It can be true. It's not always true, but it's kind of a guideline for your self-defense that they suggest. Let me tell you that the 21-foot rule is not a defense. It is not a justifiable use of homicide of deadly force to have the 21-foot rule. That may play into how you calculate that fear thing, but it's not a get out of jail free card. It doesn't do him any favors here to cite this rule. So I just want to point that out, that's what he's talking about. Again, the JCS criminal psychology video does a better job explaining that a little more clearly than I do. It's not really relevant to his defense. It's mildly relevant to his state of mind. But this guy is going to lay out just how someone wrote tactical in the chat, how tactical he is in the self-defense thing. And this is actually going to work against him. Now, a lot of concealed carry holders think that if they are using the jargon, if they are talking about these rules of self-defense and how police figure the use of force out and all of that stuff, and if they're relaying that's going to help their case, it doesn't. It doesn't help your case to be cold and calculating about how and when you're going to pull a weapon and fire on someone. It kind of looks like you're looking for it. And a jury can be convinced that you are looking for it because remember, of those 12 people on the jury, most of them have never pulled a gun and fired it at someone. So that's going to be, this stuff is not helping him in the way he thinks it is. This is why, again, a lawyer is going to stick to the simple factual scenario. Knocked down, in fear, pulled weapon, fired.
And that was that.
Did he say anything to you?
Negative. Not a word.
Okay. Did you say anything to him?
No.
Like back up? Or?
No.
Okay. So you draw your weapon. Talk to me about that. From
Well, the way I was able to draw it, I couldn't level it with one hand, so I had to eventually try and bring my left around for support.
Okay.
And he made his step towards me, and that was that.
How many steps did he make towards
Just
you?
one step.
Okay. And then that was that. Talk to me about that. What did you do from there?
I made sure there's no other threat around him because it spun him a little bit, and he ran into the store. Immediate threat gone. I did have her as a potential.
No, I mean beforehand, before you fired.
I looked around for any other threat. He ran into the store. Immediate threat gone. Negative. That's a 10-4, Roger. This is what I'm talking about, though. Like, these guys are trying to talk to police as if they are police. And this doesn't help you.
Hey, Billy Bob, you got your ears on?
Listen, when he came in on me, I was like, "Eagle is landing. We're gonna empty the nest. We're gonna empty the nest immediately." Don't act like this. The facts are simple. Knocked down in fear, pulled weapon fired. That's it. All this other stuff is icing for a jury.
The gun.
Ask me the question.
Before you fired the gun.
Yes.
Once you pull the gun out.
Yes.
Okay. You said he stepped towards you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
One more step. Right. He made one more step towards me.
And then what do you do?
I didn't say a word. Gun was already out.
Okay. What do you do?
Fire my weapon.
How many times do you fire the weapon?
One time, sir.
Okay. So you fire the weapon and then basically just scan.
I ended up standing up, made sure all the threats were clear, reholstered my weapon.
Okay. All right. So he didn't come back at you again or anything like
Not
that?
after he left.
Where did he go?
Into the store.
Okay. Did you strike him?
No.
No, I mean with a gun.
No. I don't know.
Okay.
I assume so, yes, because there was an ambulance there.
Okay. So you don't know if you hit him?
I know nothing, but I would assume so.
Okay. All right. So what do you do? Talk me from there after you reholster your weapon.
After I reholster my weapon, everything's clear. Somebody screaming about hurt kids. Somebody screaming about hurt kids. Somebody thought they were in the car. So I said,
Notice how he said that? Somebody screaming about her kids. Somebody screaming about her kids. Whining about her kids. This will be a common theme that the judge is going to harp on throughout this case. This guy doesn't ever seem to express a moment of empathy, remorse. Look, you don't have to feel bad that a person died. But you can feel bad that the situation led to a person dying.
Right.
Like you can not regret pulling the trigger because it's your life or theirs. That is all fine. But your lawyer, once you get charged especially, your lawyer would tell you something like to say, it's really unfortunate that this had to end up in the loss of a life. I hated having to defend myself in this way. I'm really sad that the situation came down to where it was my life or his. Those types of things show remorse, show that fear. But
you wouldn't suggest the whole, what was that, Amanda? Or is that the Botham Jean?
Oh, lady? Yeah.
I have to live with this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Is that not the... No?
That's not the best way to go about it.
Well...
No, and showing a lack of empathy towards the kids. I mean, he did just fire a weapon towards children, right? Like, even if he struck the guy, which he didn't know he struck the guy, according to his own words, he doesn't seem concerned at all that he might have fired a weapon into a car full of children. And that they're gonna play this. They're gonna play clips of this interview for the jury, and that's not gonna look good. Again,
I'm sure he figured this whole conversation was off the record, though.
That's why they're recording it. It's just not gonna look good. And yes, your sentencing absolutely does depend on your acting skills. It does. Someone said that in the chat. I don't know if that was cynical, but it's true. It's true. This is why you have a lawyer. They will coach you on these things, or they will say, look, he hears someone screaming about his kids. He doesn't even know who's talking about the kids. Yeah. He didn't know anything about kids. he's been knocked down. He's in shock, whatever it is. Or you just don't address these questions because they're not relevant to whether or not he should fire. In the immediate argument, I think they are actually very relevant, but...
Everybody's inside, see if you can get her to unlock your car. And that was it. All I remember is screaming about kids.
Okay. What do you do from after you hear somebody talking about her kids and stuff?
Everything's on. Well, I asked one person to go, see if she can unlock her car from the inside, and then I decided to extricate myself from the situation completely and just back to my room and wait for you. So I took my firearm out, unloaded it, locked it, left it in the car.
What do you mean you locked the back?
Yes.
Okay.
I loaded it, locked the back, waited for you.
Okay. Did you unload a mag or anything like that? Or?
No, God, no. Just the one that was in the pipe.
Okay. So where did you store the weapon at? Inside the vehicle?
Oh, it was in my holster.
Okay. Where did you put the gun at?
Right on top of the center console.
Okay, on top of the center console. What do you do from there?
Wait for you.
Okay. Do you make any statements to anybody?
Negative.
Okay, out in the parking lot?
Other than telling people it's probably not a good idea to be in here right now.
Okay.
Customers pulling in now. I spoke to no one else.
Okay. All right.
Well, I did inquire if he had his cameras on because I know he's got 9 cameras in that place.
You inquired to who?
The clerk through the door.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he was on the phone with someone.
Okay, so did you make contact with him? You walked up to the store and make contact?
I walked up to store through the door.
Okay.
And he nodded yes. And
okay.
That was the end of that because I really want somebody to look at those tapes. It should have everything.
Okay. I'm sure they do. So
sure they do.
After all this happens,
you haven't watched it yet.
Deputies show up, I'm assuming?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Talk to me about...
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
This is a clue that he's not on your side. This guy is not on Drejka's side at all. Notice.
Well, in just a moment, he's going to say that, what if I told you that I watched the tape? So clearly he's seen the tapes. He's had friggin' 4 hours to do so at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the most honest person in that room right now is Drejka.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean...
And honesty is not your friend right now.
No.
Not that you should lie. You should shut up.
Right.
You should shut up.
Don't talk to the popos.
What? Yeah.
Don't talk to the popos.
Don't talk to them. They're never there to help you. Ever. They're never... You know when they're there to help you? Never. It's never. They're never there to help you. They may end up helping you, but they're never there for that purpose. Okay.
Hey, Nick, should I talk to the cops?
No.
Negative.
Procedure deputy, identified me. I identified.
Listen, if you get arrested, you be quiet. You run silent till you can extricate yourself from that situation. Oh my God.
And make sure you don't leave one in the pipe.
It was straightforward with me on the ground, handcuffs.
Okay. All right. Did you have contact with deputies here or detectives when they brought you here?
One say they came in, got some quick information, and asked me if I needed any water, and I haven't seen anybody since.
All right. Did you talk to? I think they read your rights and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. So you've been advised of your rights.
Yes.
Okay.
That's 4 times now he's been reminded that he has been read and advised of his rights.
And that right is what again?
The right to shut up. The right to shut your mouth. He said, copy that. He has been, these guys are burying him right now. And they're telling him, you've been read your rights, right? Were you contacted? Did you make contact with any deputies or anyone else here at the station? No, I walked in by myself to this room. Like, this guy doesn't know that the other guys brought him in and talked to him. Of course he knows.
Just so we're clear, you were made aware you have the right to not say anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they told you about that.
Yeah, the other 5 guys that came before me, they did tell you have the right to not talk, right? Okay. This guy's the gift that keeps on giving, though.
So what they're doing here, they're also covering their own butts a little bit. They're making sure, for the record, remember this is being recorded, that this guy is on the record saying that he is aware of his rights again. Because he could argue, if they didn't do something like this, he could try and argue that, I didn't realize I still had these rights. I didn't realize that still all this was going on. So much time had passed. They let me sit in there. I've forgotten. They could do that. But no, they're letting him know, letting the record know that he is still well aware of what's happening.
George, you told him about that? I thought we were friends.
No.
No. God, George.
We're gonna kind of slow it down a little bit and kind of, because I'm gonna be asking specific questions about the incident. And again, just like you were, just be truthful with me. And just because we got to kind of dot our I's and cross our T's, exactly what happened. I know you kind of went through it a little fast or whatever, so we're going to just go back a little bit. Is that okay?
Whatever you
All right.
do, brother.
Appreciate it, Michael. So you get to the store.
Yes.
Where do you park your car?
Directly next to the last parking space.
Do you know north, east, south, west?
Facing south.
Okay, so your car is facing south.
Yeah,
in the last store.
In the last spot.
It's kind of furthest to the west, right?
Furthest to the west.
Okay.
Correct.
And you're pointing to the front. You okay?
It just twins it. That's all.
Okay. So you're pointing to the front of the store. Your vehicle.
Yes.
What type of vehicle do you drive, sir?
06 Toyota.
Oh yeah, I guess he's
Okay.
kind
What
of
color is it?
Silver.
Okay. All right. So you park there. You exit your vehicle like you normally do, go inside the store.
Sure.
You always park up front like that?
Sometimes I'll park inside if there's nobody.
Okay. On the west side?
There's two parking spots down past the handicap spot right there.
Okay.
Sometimes
Like by the bathroom area?
You got it.
Okay. So you exit your vehicle, right? Like you always do, and you're getting ready to walk in the store.
Yeah.
And what do you see from there?
No placard on the front of the car. Because I have to walk by the car to...
So you approach the vehicle?
Oh, front of the vehicle, yeah.
Okay.
Notice he lied right there.
Mm-hmm.
He did not get out of the car and approach the front of the vehicle. He got out of the car and approached the back of the vehicle. He says that he parked like he always does and got out to go into the store, which isn't true. He got out to check out the car.
Well, it is his store.
Yeah, it is his store.
It's his store.
It is his store.
Yeah.
And these sweet little lies, and he might not even realize he's lying. I'm not pointing this. Drejka's dumb because he doesn't have representation with him. I can't say that enough. These are the things that, the lawyer's going to just try and first of all, make sure that he knows what's going on. We want to see the tapes, right? I want to see the tapes before my client answers any questions, especially if the cops are talking about tapes, anything like that. If Drejka knows that they had tapes, I want to see the tapes before we answer any questions. Because you want your client to have the freshest recollection that they can, and you want them to be able to see what everybody else is going to see. But this guy, he flat out lied about how this started, and that's going to look bad. All this stuff looks bad.
And your intention's on walking around the cars to look for placards?
Always, yeah.
Okay. Where do you
Usually
normally
take pictures if there's,
Okay. You take pictures if you don't see no placards, or
Correct.
okay. Where do you normally look for placards?
So isn't he establishing a pattern here? Like I do. So
When
this
you
happens
approached the
regularly.
vehicle,
Yep.
was the driver? Did you make eye contact with the driver?
I couldn't see the driver. The windows are so dark.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody was in the car.
Now, what's not going to come out in this interview, but it is going to come out later, is that this guy's done this like 3 or 4 times and has been told not to do this. He has been told by Pinellas County Police at the exact same convenience store not to do this. If you think in the 4 hours from his arrest that they didn't run a BCA criminal apprehension report and then go look at the notes where the officer said, we advised Drejka not to engage people over this handicap parking spot, you're fooling yourself. And Drejka should know this because it's always at this store that he goes to every day and cares about it. This is, Q here has just mentioned that he's establishing a pattern. The cops already know about the pattern too. And they know about this. That doesn't sink his case, but it hurts dramatically. It hurts dramatically that he's done this before, been warned not to do it, been told not to do it. The judge is going to elaborate on that even more. But this all hurts. It doesn't sink the case because you can be an asshole and still have reasonable fear of serious bodily injury or death. And not focusing on those facts, that's what ends up sinking the case ultimately. But this hurts bad.
So how long can you sit there?
So her window wasn't rolled down? The driver's
without a lawyer before, like, it gets to be a problem? Could you sit there for 12 hours waiting on a lawyer to show up without saying anything?
It's hard for most people to do.
But could you?
Yeah, you
theoretically
can.
speaking.
Oh yeah, if you say I will not answer questions until my lawyer is present, they're technically not allowed to ask you questions until a lawyer is present. But they'll leave you there for 12 hours, especially if it's that appointed attorney. And the appointed attorney doesn't like the cops, so it's not like they're an ally.
Right.
But that appointed attorney is going to take a little bit of time. You got to assign them. You got to call them. Maybe it's after 6 or whatever. It's going to take them a long time. And they will let you sit there for 12 hours. And then you will probably decide after 12 hours in that room to talk a little bit, to start saying things. And then you open yourself back up to questioning. That's the problem. Most people can't just sit there. You just killed somebody. It's one of the most important events in your entire life. You want to tell someone about it. Like, if nothing else, you want to talk. Because you just want someone to know what you just went through. Like, most people want to know when we go to the store and get a free Coke. Like, you want to tell someone about that. Like, the next person you see, like, man, I went up to that vending machine, I leaned on it, and a Coke came out. That sucker was mine. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Free Coke. God was looking out for me that day. Imagine you just murdered someone. Well, no, imagine you just self-defense someone into the dirt who you thought was legitimately going to kill you. You definitely want to tell people about this. So it's really hard for people to be quiet.
Time now.
Okay. So you start walking around the car?
Yeah, I walked from the front to the back and then just back up again. And
Okay.
I took no pictures. I just, would
Sure.
assume would go and keep going. But then the window came down.
Was the car running?
I couldn't tell. It's so quiet.
Okay.
These damn cars. Don't sound anything like mine, which is like.
So then when you come back around, is the window rolled down at that point?
No, only after I get back up in front and she was on my way into the store and she asked me,
So she rolls her window down?
Yes, sir.
Do you make verbal contact with her first, or did
She
she
made verbal contact with me first.
What was
I
her-
explained what I did. Asked me what I was doing, of course.
Okay. So she asked you what? What are you doing?
What are
Walking
you
around my car?
doing? Yeah, I
And you
said
said-
I'm looking for handicap placards,
Okay.
And then it ensued with, well, what's that matter
So-
to you?
okay. So when she rolls her window down, she says, "Hey, what are you doing? How far are you away from the car?"
To the front of the car.
Okay, so you're standing at the front.
Yeah, about the front of the car, which is
Are you on the curb?
sidewalk. Yeah.
Okay, so you're on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Wasn't on the
I'm not
sidewalk.
exactly in front of the car. I'm on the sidewalk at the front of the car.
Okay.
He's
So
actually not.
After you
But that's
start
okay, he doesn't
talking to
remember.
her, do you approach the driver's side of the car?
Yeah, just of course I don't want to yell back and
Right.
forth.
That's
Yeah.
Civilized.
understandable.
Yeah.
So how far do you approach
What a nice
the view, distance-wise, approximately?
God, it's gonna be. She's in the car. And it's
Let's say I'm the driver.
She can probably smell your breath.
Okay.
After a while, it's not like I was leaning in her car or anything.
Hopefully you can't smell my breath.
Oh yeah, hopefully that's mine.
So can you show me how far? Let's say I'm her. How far do you come up to her?
By the window.
Okay, so a couple feet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna encroach into her car.
All right.
He admits to approaching the car. Now, of course, the surveillance video is going to cover this, but this guy approached the vehicle when he didn't have to. This is part of that whole instigating thing. Yeah, they're talking back and forth, but you can yell at someone while running away or walking away. Isn't that how they do it in the hood anyway? Like it's like the walk away, the walk away insult. Like, you better hope my man don't come out here. Like, whatever it is. Like, why? This. Anyway, sorry.
So you walk up to her car and you say, "I was looking for handicap placards."
Correct.
And then what did she say?
What's it matter to you? I said, well, it wouldn't matter to me unless my mother-in-law showed up right now and needed a place to park.
But it does matter to you because somebody's parked there.
At that moment, yeah.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
And your mother-in-law wasn't in the car?
No.
Okay.
She asked me what would matter. I gave her a hypothetical.
Was there anybody in the car, in your vehicle?
No,
That was
just me.
That's disabled or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So you tell her if my mother-in-law was here.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way she was leaning. Yeah.
Right.
That's all. So
Okay.
I gave her an example.
Was she a little heated?
Very.
Okay. So you guys start having a discussion back
Yeah,
and
a little
forth.
heated discussion back and forth, definitely.
All right. So tell me a little bit about that.
That's exactly about the same thing. We're going back about the
I know, but
same thing.
exactly what was said.
I couldn't even. Oh, the thing I remember her saying is, "Do I have to get my man?" And I said, "Well, what's that mean? Are we going to fight?"
Okay.
But
what were
I
you-
guess so was her answer.
Okay. What were you saying to her though?
It's all about the placards.
Okay. That you have placards.
No,
It's all about the
space,
placards,
not the
baby.
placards.
Okay.
But the space.
My
Yes,
pickup
sir.
line too.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you say, "Hey, I'm gonna call the police"?
No, I did not say that
Negative.
first time I'm going to bring that up. I
Okay.
thought a simple courtesy would do.
So you asked her to move?
Courtesy, yes.
Okay. And what did she say?
Who are you talking to me like this? Who do you think you are?
Okay. Kind of mind your own business?
You got it.
Okay. Did she say mind your own business?
When you tell the cop that the woman is saying, "Who are you talking to me like this?" but you present that your side of the argument is entirely rational and calm, they know that you're lying or that you're misrepresenting how that conversation was going. They've also probably talked to the witnesses who know you were both yelling back and forth. So this is,
They're calling BS on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. Okay. So basically, you guys have a heated conversation, right?
What do you want to put
And
in
you're
your mouth?
standing that close to her car, and she mentions her man, because again,
No man in the car. I don't know of any man.
Okay.
Whatever. All I hear is it mentioned.
do you want to?
He just mitigated his chance of defending
what
that.
She said?
No, she said, "Do you want me to get my man?"
My man, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's
So-
exactly what she said.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, Mike. At any time and point, because we all know parking in a handicap spot without placards is illegal, correct?
Yeah, but that's not why I ask people. I can't.
Sure, right. And I get that. But at any time and point when you saw the vehicle, you checked the vehicle for handicap placards?
Of course.
Okay. You didn't see no handicap placards? At any time and point when you noticed that, why wouldn't you pick up the phone and contact law enforcement?
There it is. Here she comes. Wait a minute. Nah, I can't even remember what she said there.
Okay.
Because all we were having was a verbal argument
Okay.
between two people.
Right.
I didn't know about a third person.
Okay.
I was literally blindsided
Sure,
and
why would you?
tackled to the ground.
Right. But wouldn't it be best, you think, to call law enforcement and say, "Hey, there's somebody illegally parked"?
It's not going to help. She'll leave.
Okay. Well, she may not
They
know.
always do.
Well, she may not know that you called if you walked away, right?
True. Very true.
I mean,
They always do. They always leave when you call law enforcement, which is exactly what his goal is in this situation. He just admitted that if he made a phone call to law enforcement about it, that they would leave, and that would solve his problem. Terrible, terrible answer to these questions.
In the words of George Zimmerman,
This was an argument.
these
I'm not
assholes
putting
always
words in
get
your
away.
mouth. I'm asking you, a question. So you agree with that?
Yeah, with the woman.
Okay. So you guys are bickering back and forth. Next thing you know, you get pushed.
I'm blind. Pushed nothing. Tackled. I'm
Okay.
blindsided, dude.
Okay.
I'm on the ground hard.
So he shoved you pretty good.
No, for what it felt like is he come running at me.
Okay. Like full force.
Dude, I haven't been hit like that since I was in my 20s.
Okay. All right. So he shoves you to the ground. You fall to the ground.
Correct.
Okay.
Slightly, dude. Not very. Slightly.
Okay. Do you hit your head?
Don't know. Don't feel anything.
Okay.
Don't know.
So you don't know if he's
sideways like this. I literally just landed under my gun. Okay, so I landed on my wrist, on my gun.
okay.
Had to reach over to distract my hand.
To push yourself
To
back.
push myself up off of that. And as I'm reaching and pulling around, he's standing in front of me. As I come up, he's taking a step towards me.
Okay. Now let's discuss that. If you don't mind. Could you sit on the ground real quick?
Let's discuss that.
It's probably something you shouldn't discuss.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not hurt
You're on
now.
the ground, right?
I'm on the ground like this.
Okay. How far is the guy away?
Front of the car.
He's at the front of the car?
Front of the
So he's on
car.
that sidewalk, kind of curb area.
Well, that room's a
He's
lot
in
bigger
front of
than
the
what
car, off the
it looks
sidewalk.
like.
Okay,
Take.
right on the edge.
You got it.
So how far do you think he's away from you?
I might have been right at the edge of the back of the front door.
Of the car?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So he's up by the front tire.
He's up by the front tires. No, further than that, man.
Further than this?
Further than that.
Okay.
I was back further. He had to be further than that.
Okay. So he's about this far.
Yeah.
Maybe even further.
And as I
Oh,
come
no.
up this way, because I have to come up off my hand.
Notice how he said maybe even further, right? Every step away from this guy is less of a threat. And the way he's this is not fair that the cop is doing, but he's trying to frame this as far away as possible and trying to get this guy to buy into, yeah, he's farther away, he's farther away, he's farther away.
But as long as he's willing to keep talking.
Yep.
I mean, there is a very logical way to stop the questions.
Yep.
Shut up.
He was 3 states over.
All right. I bring the gun out with me. And as I'm coming back this way, I can't support it. So I hit this.
Okay.
And as
What does he do?
as I come out like this, he's taking his step.
Okay. Taking a step?
Taking his steps towards me.
Okay. How close does he get to you before you fire the gun?
Maybe to the front tire.
So show me where. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay, so right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Was he charging after you?
2 steps running.
Okay. Well, you're saying he was running?
Well, it would have been running when he got out of behind the car.
Okay.
Would have
All
I
been.
gotta get off.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want you to hurt yourself.
No.
What did you think then, Mike?
Say again,
What
bud?
did you think when that happened?
I've never been in that situation ever. I thought kicks were coming.
Okay.
So you thought he was gonna?
Not
I
kicks.
thought kicks were coming, or at least he'd be on top of
You
me.
need help?
No, I got it. Okay. Left arm's good.
Pumped up kid.
Yeah, all I saw was them Jordans coming my
So-
way. Size 11s.
You're thinking he's gonna come kick you?
I'm thinking he's coming to do the rest of it.
Did you see him with a firearm?
No, sir, I didn't see him with anything.
Okay. What do you mean the rest of it?
Whatever beating was coming after that.
So you thought he was gonna beat you and stuff?
You're not kidding.
Kill me. The answer to what do you mean the rest of it is kill me. That's the only answer you can give in that situation.
I thought he was going to step on me with his shoes on.
Yeah. Look, I thought he was going to kick me.
He's going to step on my fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. Kill me is the answer. The only answer you give. Now, and preferably through your counsel. Because shouldn't answer this by yourself. But kicks are going to come is not a good answer.
Come finish me off. Finish off what he started.
All right.
He's admitted that he
So
didn't have a
If he
weapon.
hit me that hard to begin with from blindside from the get-go, what else should I expect?
Okay. All right. So you're on the ground. You said he was running at you, but he only took like a step.
He would have if he had cleared that and come around towards me again with
Right.
that second foot.
Okay. So he only made one step.
He barely made the second step before I pulled the trigger.
Gone from 1 step to
What
2
kind of gun
steps.
do you have?
Glock 23.
Okay. All right. That's
40 cal.
40 cal. I'm not a gun guy, so I can't keep track. So, you know how many rounds you had in the mag, stuff like that?
Yeah, sure do. There should be 13 left in that bag right there.
So it was fully loaded?
One in the pipe.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, in the pipe.
13, 14,
Oh, yeah.
14 rounds.
Oh, he's down with the lingo.
Why do you think the guy's going to beat you?
Because I just got blindsided out of nowhere. Why? What else would I think?
Oh, I'm just asking.
Now, I've never been in that situation before. First thing I think if I'm getting hit like that, somebody's coming at me for more.
Okay.
What did the female do at that point?
The female just started screaming
Was she in the car or out of the car?
out of the car.
Okay. She's screaming that you just shot him, or?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, you just hear her screaming.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm not paying attention to her anymore because I moved away from her. She's not a threat to me anymore.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question. You mentioned early that you asked Mustafa about video and stuff like that.
Correct.
That do you think the video would show him charging it or
It
running at you?
should.
Okay.
There should be an angle right on that parking spot.
Okay. What happens if I told you that I looked at the video and in no time and point does he come running up towards you? He actually takes a step back.
And it was at this point Drejka realized he effed up. But he doesn't, though. That's the worst part. It's where he should have realized.
Yeah.
What if I told you, uh-oh, that's the worst thing. That's the worst line that could come out of that cop's mouth right there.
The video's wrong.
JCS makes a point about this. And the reason I'm referring to JCS in this is because I don't want anyone to think that I'm taking his position without giving him credit. I agree with JCS on this. The point he makes is, at this point, Drejka has an opportunity to say, I was in fear for my life. He was coming towards me. I believe he was coming towards me. I am afraid of this man because he's going to kill me. I'm on the ground. I'm on my back. He's gonna come kill me, right? But he doesn't say that.
No.
He doesn't get there, and the cop just told him. The cop just told him, what if I told you the video showed this?
I would disagree.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would disagree in a heartbeat.
Okay. All right. So
I would disagree.
you said after
Doesn't do it.
he runs in the store and stuff like that.
Did you see me get hit?
Oh yeah,
Where did
absolutely.
you come from? If you don't mind me asking, where do you come from?
Yeah, we'll get into that. But did she
We don't care.
she walks around
We're not
the vehicle.
answering questions.
Does
You
she
are.
go anywhere? Do you see her go anywhere?
She went to the front of the store. She was inside for a while. Then she got in and moved her car.
Okay. So she came back outside the store.
She did.
Did you guys have any discussion?
The only thing I said to her was, somebody's trying to see if you've got keys for your children.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That is all. But after our
She don't
initial
say anything else?
No,
Okay.
not to me. No.
Like
And I-
start swearing at you or
No,
anything like that?
negative. Our argument was totally about the handicap spot.
Before she runs in the store, did she make any threats or?
I wouldn't know. I was trying to assess my own situation, sir.
Okay. Did
Assess my own
when the
situation.
gentleman, before you fired the gun, did he make any threats towards you?
I never heard a word.
Okay. So he
Not a
didn't say.
word.
Not a
He
word.
didn't threaten me.
I never heard a word of anything. Once I got hit, the only thing I heard was her, and I never heard him
What did
until
she-
he was hit, until he was shot. And then he started saying things.
What did you hear her say?
Screaming.
No, before.
I heard him say, "You're gonna die, son." Anything.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you, cracker, or something. Make it interesting.
Yeah. Or
I mean,
or if you don't want to lie, which you shouldn't lie. that was a joke. You shouldn't lie about it. But seriously, I didn't hear nothing. You know what? I don't know. A lot was going on. I had just been knocked down. I don't know if he said anything. I didn't hear nothing. Like it's so affirmative that
Beforehand, before you shot, you said you heard her say something.
Oh, no.
you
Okay,
next.
so no, okay. But you didn't hear him say after he shoved you. Did you hear him say anything?
Just pain, which is why I assumed he was hit.
Okay. What do you mean? Can you explain?
Ow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then back to the store.
Okay.
Because to me, it looked like when I shot, he was spun a little bit, and he just kept going with his momentum and went that way.
Okay. Let's kind of back up because I'm just trying to understand.
what'd he say? Ow! Ow!
Before you shoot him, okay, and he had already shoved you, right? You said you thought he was going to come kick you and basically finish the job.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear him make any statements?
Negative. He never made a word.
Okay, like I'm coming
Never
to
said a word until I fired, but then he never said a word when he dumped me either.
Right. So you never said, what
No,
the hell?
sir.
He thinks that the guy not talking is bolstering the menacing aspect of the story, but it doesn't. It doesn't, because he has to reasonably believe he's about to die.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you guys don't have any type of...
I barely even saw the man.
No, I mean, after he pushed you were on the ground. You're trying to get to your sidearm.
No talks between us.
Okay.
At all.
You don't ask him, what the hell, dude? Why'd you push me?
No.
He doesn't make any statements, I'm gonna come kick your ass?
No. Negative.
Okay.
Didn't say a word to me.
So he made no threats that he was gonna come...
Did you say, stay back? Stay the F back!
finish his job?
It was an assumption, definitely.
Okay, so you just assumed he was gonna come do that?
No, it was a
smart
fear!
person would,
Yeah, I mean, okay, I get it. I understand it. So, and then you shoot him just one time, correct?
One time, sir.
Okay.
Why once? Why
And
just
then
once?
he just neutralize it?
Neutralize, and then that's it. There's no reason to
What do you mean? Can you elaborate? What do you mean neutralize?
neutralize the immediate threat.
Okay.
And then that's it. No reason to go overboard anyway.
Sure. Okay.
I had to clear my corners.
And then he runs in.
I shoot to save my own ass, and that's that.
Okay. And then he runs in the store, and then by that time, fire rescue.
Everything's right.
Okay.
Everything's going.
You unload your gun. You have contact with deputies.
Correct.
How often do you go to that store? You said
Every day.
every day. Okay. Do you ever have any type of issues with people parking in that?
One to them. That's it.
Okay. Well, can you kind of talk to me about that?
Oh yeah, that was a business, a big old septic truck parked
Okay.
there.
How long ago was that?
Many weeks.
Okay.
Many weeks.
Like a month, maybe?
Yeah, many weeks.
Okay.
Many
Can
weeks.
you kind of talk to me about that?
We had an argument.
What's that?
We had an argument
So-
because he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
like me walking around the truck taking pictures too.
Where was the truck parked?
In the handicap spot.
Okay. Was
Septic
it
tank truck.
facing the store as well? Basically the same as the
Same
young
thing.
lady's car?
Except his was easy. They're a local company.
Sure. All right. So you've
So
been
you've
walking around
done this
vehicle,
before.
doing the same thing?
Just took pictures that time.
His was
Okay.
easy.
Then he got out.
I'm not shooting nobody.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
Wanted to come at me. Wanted a piece of me, of course.
Did he say that?
Yeah. Then the boss, then I called his boss, and then that was over. That was it.
Anybody make any threats?
Kick your ass, motherfucker, you know.
Right. Okay. Did you say that back to him? Like,
There's no reason to. He's about 4 foot taller than I am.
oh, Jesus.
This is not what's in the police report. Spoiler alert, this is not what comes out of the police report about that situation. That situation was not, I'm gonna kick your ass. It was, I should shoot you, I should kill you, and then Drejka goes back to his truck, and then the guy leaves. That's what's in the police report. Whatever the reality of the situation is, he is not conveying what that officer has probably already read.
So you said local company. What do you mean by that?
Double A, they're right up in Dunedin.
Okay.
And their drivers do that on more than a few occasions.
Is the phone number on the side of the truck?
Sure is.
Okay.
That's one of the bad things about putting a phone number on the side of your truck.
Yeah.
That's why it was called.
Did you take a picture of the phone number or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. So you called the company? You
Sure
said?
did.
Okay.
Talked with the boss.
All right.
Yep.
What did you tell the boss man?
Told the boss man where his truck was parked, all this, and how his employee was acting after I took pictures of it and such, and that was that. He said he'd work it out with his man. I said, fair enough.
Okay. Any discussion about you having a gun or anything like that?
I didn't know. God, no, there was no gun shown.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Did you have your sidearm on you at
I
that?
always have my side.
Okay. You got a CCW, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay. All right. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
I'm just asking.
I've been
Okay.
carrying my whole adult life.
Yeah. I mean, I
Shoot
kind of.
before that.
Sure. I don't blame you. Do you go shooting a lot?
Not anymore now.
Okay. When was the last time you went shooting?
Years.
All right.
What kind of firearms training do you have before you got your CCW and started
Well,
shooting?
besides hunting, my father was a state cop for 20 years, so I've had to drill.
Oh, yeah, about you personally, what kind of
Yeah,
training you had?
I trained with my dad a little bit, and
Okay.
I trained with other cops at the range, but as far as formal training, no.
Any prior military or anything like that?
Negative.
Prior law enforcement?
I wasn't allowed to be a cop. He said he'd break my arm. 20 years of shift working bullshit.
Your dad said that?
Yes, sir.
What kind of drills did he run you through?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean?
You ever practiced from your back or anything like that in the past? You ever practiced shooting from your back in a position where you're on the ground, or?
Oh, I've practiced sitting before. I've never practiced laying on my back.
Okay.
But I knew sitting would always come into play at some point in time.
All right.
Besides the fact I was a driver for Uber, so
Okay.
I've never been on my back before. No.
All right.
Don't lie.
Let me
You
ask
dirty
you a question,
whore.
You mentioned that you go to the store all the time, and you had that one incident with the septic company.
Yeah.
Any other incidents prior to that? You ever have any discussion with the owner of the store?
Yeah, he saw me that day.
No, I mean about these handicaps, somebody parking in the handicap spot.
Yeah, I talked to him the day of the septic.
Okay. Was that Mustafa? Is that his name?
I don't know his name because there's another guy too. And
Oh,
I can't
okay.
keep straight.
What did you tell him?
Same thing. He saw it parked out.
Every day. He goes there every day, doesn't know these dudes' names. I can't keep it straight. Mustafa and Jihad or whatever.
They all look alike to me.
Goes there every day. Sorry.
There, I gave him the phone number, and you could see the company logo on the side of the truck.
Okay.
That was that. There's no reason. He doesn't have any reason to come out and stop people from parking in his handicap.
Did you-
spot, know what I mean?
Did you ever have a discussion with the owner and stuff, saying, "Hey, you guys need to enforce this"?
No.
Okay.
That's his
No,
problem.
I'm the enforcer,
Well, I know,
buddy.
But I mean, clearly there's an issue with people parking there, wouldn't you say?
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not always there.
All
Pretty
right.
sure that's
So-
false because the owner told him to knock it off.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Absolutely.
But when they see me doing stuff like that, they automatically think, hey, what's this guy trying to do? Fuck me?
Right.
And
Wouldn't you think that a little bit? If somebody came take pictures around your car?
well, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Exactly.
Oops.
But if somebody came take a picture around your
Pause.
car, you'd probably think the same thing, right?
I'd ask a question first instead of going with the mouth.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. He just admitted that he's trying to instigate a situation that would put people on edge and put himself into a confrontation. He's trying to mess with people. That was that line that alone may have convicted him.
It's damning.
Like that you cannot admit to putting yourself into the situation.
Well,
I know better.
Let me ask this: that parking space, and this is just that parking lot in particular. There's actually other like empty parking spaces that are probably closer and have better access to the front door.
That's the only one that has access
So-
to that ramp.
In this particular situation, though, if somebody can park right next to the ramp, walk around to it, does it really matter all that much?
I'm not sure where this is headed. What's this
I'm
got to do with
just curious as
hit
to
from
whether or not
behind?
it's worth an argument over the parking
Yes,
space.
yes, I think it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, wouldn't you, instead of an argument, because you
Not
just...
an argument if you,
Right.
you know,
A discussion.
I'm agreeing with what he just said. That's
Okay,
all.
but don't you think, instead of putting yourself in that type of circumstance, that it may escalate? Because people are crazy. I mean, right? You have road rage incidents, you got people getting shot all the time, all kinds of stuff, right?
Isn't-
So, hear me out. Wouldn't it be best, instead of putting yourself in those circumstances, to contact law enforcement and have a deputy come out there, or Clearwater Police?
Well, Clearwater Police and I don't get along. We have some Fourth Amendment issues.
What is that? What do you mean, fourth?
Clearwater Police illegally searched my car. Well,
Okay.
you know.
How long ago was that?
Last summer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
they took it upon themselves to go through my glove box when all they had to do was replace something back in my vehicle.
What was that?
My firearm.
Okay. So they took your firearm out of the vehicle?
Always.
Okay. All right. But again, back to the question, wouldn't you think it would be better, instead of putting yourself in that type of circumstance that could escalate?
Okay, what does this have to do with
I'm just asking. I mean,
being on my back?
He's starting to
and-
realize.
Yeah.
that does. You told me you were on your back and stuff, but I'm just saying, don't you think that it would be best to notify law enforcement? You said you don't like to argue. You said you don't like to have confrontations.
All right, well,
Wouldn't it be-
point taken, but
Okay.
you were straying a bit off course, I think.
No, we'll get back to that, but I'm just asking you a simple question.
Hell, we will.
Do you think it would be best to call law enforcement and have them address that issue?
You'll never make it.
Okay. Because the person what?
They leave.
Okay.
They'll never make it.
All right. So it's
Unless you guys are literally parked there, do you really?
Sometimes we are, sometimes we're real close.
Right. But you're not going to drop an important something for...
Sure.
Okay? Why bother you with stupid things like that?
okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll ask
I'm not after being a justice kind of guy, but
So
when
you
I just say
put
something...
your life in jeopardy for
Why?
something stupid.
Yep. Why bother you with a stupid thing like this that I just shot a man over?
I got this. Don't
Oh
worry
my
about it. I
God.
got this. Hold my beer. I'll make sure this guy never parks here again.
Person about being parked there. I don't expect it to go where it went.
So that's why you don't call, because by the time you call,
Always, man.
they'll be gone.
They always are.
Okay.
I'll ask a related question though. When you take the pictures, what are your plans with the pictures? Like,
To show his boss.
What's the purpose in taking?
That's for
pictures?
the boss.
Do you take pictures of other people's cars though?
No, actually,
Like if
no,
you
just
see- if you see
just a
cars-
commercial. I didn't want to take a picture of their cars. No reason to. I'm not going to turn them into anybody. I just want to ask them if they think it's right to be parked where they're parked.
Okay. Do you understand that? I mean, does it ever go through your mind that when you're going up and talking to these people and informing them of them being parked in a handicapped spot, that they might not take that right? That this might go sideways a little bit?
Well, sure, but that's why I take precautions as well.
Like what? What kind of precautions?
I'm a very careful person, and I have a permit.
Okay. Do you think you'd go knock on these people's, or I shouldn't say
That's
knock
a
on these
problem.
people's-
Yeah, I
do you think you'd
don't
go confront
confront-
them?
Do you think that causing these confrontations could cause people to go out? Well, sure. But that's why I take precautions. This guy is manifesting intent. I mean, he's just showing and telling them that not only, I mean, he has intent to use a firearm in the event of a confrontation that he is admitted already to causing. Like, he's eliminated. These two cops are great at interrogating this guy. And if you don't understand why it's so dangerous, because look at these guys. The one guy's looks just completely dumpy, doesn't know. Well, I don't know anything about guns. I don't know anything about this. This Drejka guy probably thinks, oh, I'm way cooler than this guy because I could tell you what every model of Glock, what caliber it is and all that stuff. He doesn't think that this guy, he's looking at his phone. He doesn't think that this guy is just absolutely raking him over the coals here. But he is. And the other guy who hasn't said anything the entire thing, every question he asks is brutal. Brutal answers coming out of Drejka because he's like, oh, this guy probably thinks he's like an assistant or something, has no idea. That's why he's so quiet. And they have a very calm and casual demeanor.
He's like, I'm gonna learn this guy something.
They do this every day. Not a shooting every day, but they talk to people in this way every single day. They're very calm. He doesn't even realize this is happening to him. This is what's so dangerous about it. Boomers Did It says, was going to go with a sticker, but they seem to really suck. Oh, that's too bad. Sorry. It's not up to me. If I could put cool stickers on, I would. But yeah, so he gets just absolutely destroyed by this.
Anyone
Well, I
right
mean,
to their face.
it's approaching, so we use the term approach instead of confront.
Okay, but it is up to the person who's in the car to actually confront.
If you go up to somebody and approach them, they can take that as being confrontational. You can't really determine how
That
they're
would
going to
make
take
them
it.
confrontational.
But if you go up to somebody and you approach them about being parked in a handicapped spot, do you think you'd be willing to do that and take that risk if you didn't take these precautions? Because you don't know how people are going to react.
I've been carrying a gun most of my adult life, so I can't really answer that in a way that would satisfy you.
Okay.
You know
Well,
what
I mean, would you approach these people if you didn't?
Once again, I
But I
don't
always
know.
do.
I would have to say yeah,
Okay.
but I wouldn't know because, like I said,
You always carry it.
I've always carried a firearm.
Okay. Since how long? How long have you carried it?
I was 22,
How old are you now?
48, 47. Sorry, I'll be 48 in August.
Me too. So
Now you want to get your facts straight.
And we'll dive back into the whole him shoving you and stuff like that.
I think that's where it all lies.
Sure, and the video and everything like that. let's say on the video, I watch the video or whatever, and he doesn't approach you or make any steps towards you like you indicated.
Exactly what I saw, though.
Okay, so you saw him come towards you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what happens if he didn't come towards you? Would you still fire around?
There's no reason to. If he's retreating, then I don't need to use my firearm.
What if he's just standing still?
I still don't need to use my firearm.
All right. Did you see, when you saw this guy after he pushed you, did you see anything on his face? Did you see any facial expressions or anything?
Negative. All I saw was a man trying to do me.
What were his hands doing? Did you see that?
I have no clue. Okay.
Were you able to see him? Were you able to see the guy's hands?
If he was retreating or standing still, would you shoot? Yes. Yes. If you're in fear for your life, the answer to that question is yes. He loses it. He loses it there. He's lost the case more than I have. This dude, if you are in fear for your life, it doesn't matter which way the guy's going because you're in fear for your freaking life. You don't have time to wonder. This is where he has really screwed up over and over, is that, oh, he's relying on that he's coming towards me. But if he wasn't coming towards you, would you shoot him? Cop already told you he wasn't coming towards you just because you disagree with the video. Yes.
I didn't see his hands per se, and I didn't see his face at all. I don't know what he looks like.
Could you see his legs, his feet, anything like that?
I might have seen the legs. I know he was a black guy, that's it. Or maybe his arms, I'm not sure.
Could you see anything that he was doing other than...
You couldn't see him. Couldn't see his legs.
Hips.
Couldn't tell if he was making a step.
All right. So if he was standing still, you would have seen no reason to...
No,
pull
sir.
that trigger. Okay.
If he hadn't have twitched, I never would have pulled that trigger.
When that gun was out, did you make a decision to shoot when you pulled the gun out, or was that decision made afterwards?
Oh my God!
The decision I made as soon as he moved.
No!
Okay. Did you remember having time to think and process?
No time to think.
But you
As
hadn't
soon as
made...
that gun was out, the twitch.
I pulled a gun that I didn't intend to use, and then I waited for him to move forward, which doesn't happen, to use the gun. This guy, get him an excavator. He is...
Couldn't dig a deep
Oh
hole.
my goodness. Also funny that he did notice he was black. Like specific.
I just know he was black. I mean, isn't that enough? I mean, you know, it is Florida, by the way.
Yeah. At least he wasn't Cuban.
That's it.
Okay. But you said you actually pulled the gun out before you made the decision to shoot, right?
I'm not pulling it out with the intention of pulling the trigger.
Okay.
Okay, if I come up on target and I need to shoot, I'm shooting.
If you would have pulled that gun, between the time you pulled that gun, if you had been on your back and you pulled that gun and you had it on him, if he would have been standing still, do you think that trigger would have gotten pulled?
No.
Did you have time to really look at him and tell that he was coming towards you?
The feet said he was coming towards me, and so did the
You said you
hands.
couldn't see his legs.
What kind of twitch was it?
The hip twitch. Right foot comes around this way, like he's going to come right past that car thing, and that
Swinging
was
that
that.
arm around pretty good,
How
ain't
much
it?
time do you think
The
it was
literal
between when you
opposite
pulled
of
that
what
gun out
happened.
and when you
I don't
actually
know.
pulled the trigger?
I don't know.
How much time did it seem like to you?
It seemed like a split second.
Okay.
All right, Michael, we'll be right back. You gotta use the restroom right
No,
now?
I'm good, thank you.
Need more water, partner? Okay.
Partner.
We'll be right back, all right?
Buddy. Pal. Compadre.
We gotta look at a few things to see, kind of placing together with what you're telling us, all right?
I'll be here, partner.
Oh my goodness. I don't know that there's much left, of course. I'm going to kind of just skip through.
I don't know.
Michael?
Yeah.
How you doing, sir? All right. So, we spoke before, I'm Detective Shields in the Sheriff's Office. We're here to do a buccal swab, which is a swabbing of your cheeks, if you consent to it. We're gonna go over a consent form here. And then we're gonna do some overall photographs of your injuries and overall photographs of you.
I think we're pretty much done with this.
Well, just the swab is just to collect any DNA or anything like that that might go along with this incident here.
Oh my goodness. This guy's toast, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I think...
it was brought up in the chat that this guy was actually released and not arrested for 25 days. But I want to be very clear. The Pinellas County Sheriff, who is opposed to stand your ground law, released this guy and made a media statement to say that he could not charge him because of stand your ground. That's why he was released. Pinellas County Sheriff is making a political statement using a case of a white guy shooting a black guy to try and get rid of stand your ground and cause a media firestorm. You will not convince me of anything other than that being his motivation. This is not good. Not good for Drejka. But you know, he gives several clues here. I know there are some people who do still defend him. It's not just his stupidity that buries him. It really does look like he is looking to shoot someone. He's looking to defend himself. And that is the opposite sort of attitude you're supposed to have when you're a carry permit holder. You should want to get out of those situations. You should not want to be in it. You rely on your better judgment to never have to pull your gun. And he just talked all about how he's got to pull it. I've got to pull this gun. I got to shoot somebody.
I don't get it. I mean, it's one thing to be dumb, but this ought to be illegal to be this stupid. I mean, seriously. I mean, he lynched himself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
hard.
He put the rope around his own neck and kicked his own bucket from underneath him. I mean, wow. I haven't seen a white guy hang himself like that since Epstein. Is it too soon?
No. But it's not too soon, but it's also not true because Epstein didn't kill himself.
Well, I mean, so you say.
Listen, I don't know how many backflips you can do off the top bunk.
Like half of one. I can get like half of one done.
I think this is good for the interview. It's already 1:35.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah. I was going to do the judge's sentencing, but that's going to get really, really late.
Yeah, it's going to get out. It's going to get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going back, I listened to it earlier, but then just going back through and listening to it again, I'm thinking, golly, like if you don't feel like your life is in danger, you know, and I mentioned to you, I mean, there's been times where I have been concerned for my life, but I mean, the idea that I'm going to pull my weapon and end somebody's life, even though I don't know that person is going to do me harm. And then to admit that.
Yeah.
And to admit that
right.
is just, wow.
Now, to cover a couple arguments I've seen in the chat that are valid arguments is, we said this before, the one guy should not have resorted to physical violence.
No.
And that's not a legal thing on that guy. That's a, do I want to go home today kind of thing. The moment you put hands on someone, you run the risk that they are either stronger than you, that they have a knife, that they have a gun, that your wife will find them more attractive and leave you immediately. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? You're taking a personal risk, and that guy absolutely took a personal risk. But the hit becomes, it's only facially relevant till you start to get into just who Drejka is. And that's what the jury and the court are going to focus on. And the arguments I've seen from Drejka's counsel are not incompetent arguments. I don't think he was incompetently represented. But man, you're running up an oiled hill,
right?
With this guy, with this interview alone. And this is why it's critically important. If you are ever in an encounter, it doesn't have to be a shooting. Most people are not going to be involved in a shooting in their lives. But if you're ever in an encounter, be it drugs, be it a traffic stop, be it anything, the discussion you have with the police is the most critical thing. Every single criminal trial issue that I've had to deal with where we have had to plea out is because of the interview. When my clients are quiet, we win immediately. Or they just don't bring the charges. That's what usually happens. They don't bring the charges because they don't have anything to say. They don't have, facts are fuzzy. And if they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, they don't want to take it to trial because they don't like losing. And if they can't bring even probable cause because they don't have enough evidence, if you don't give it to them, they can't charge you. And that's the easiest way for your lawyer to win.
Not even Johnny Cochran could help this guy.
No.
He was beyond help. Wow. Yeah. No, I can't fight. That's why I carry a gun.
My man wasn't even wearing gloves. I don't know what to do at this point. Yeah, saying I can't fight. That's why I carry a gun. I also instigate confrontations that I know people might take as an affront.
Of course I don't call the cops.
Because I take precautions.
Because they'll leave.
With my gun. Oh, boy.
If I call the cops, they'll leave. I don't get to shoot anybody then.
Yeah. If I call the cops, they'll do exactly what I want them to do that they're not doing right now.
They'll get in the car and leave.
Yeah, simple response for this guy, right? Go over by the car, 911, like show him. Like just hold your phone up, 911.
I'm calling your boss. It's like, what a snitch.
Yeah. That's another thing. Drejka's a Karen. Karen Drejka.
Oh man. Wow. Yeah. No, honestly, when I first saw this video, I think I might have even called you about it. Like, did you see this? When I originally saw this video, I actually did side with Drejka because all I saw was the video, the black and white video. I saw a black man come out of a building. He was having a heated conversation with a lady in a car. Black man comes up and pushes him from back. And
it looks like what the Ferguson police would classify as thug behavior.
Right. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. But then after seeing the interview, I think we found the guy who assaulted Jussie Smollett. Like, yeah. that's the guy. MAGA country.
Mustafa, I don't even remember their names. I don't know. I go there every day, but I get them mixed up.
Yeah. This guy's like, I don't know.
Smell the same.
I don't know who it was, but he was black as the ace of spades. That's all I
know. I describe all the clerks at this place in shades of darker.
Oh my God. Oh man. Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm sorry. I forgive me. I improperly quoted Jussie Smollett. He says, "Dark as night."
Dark as night.
Dark as night. Sorry. I typically give white people the benefit of the doubt because typically they smell like cheese and lemon furniture polish.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Darkness. Oh man.
I was gonna. The sentencing is gonna run really long. Even if we skip the counsel and go in, it'll be 2:30 before we get to chats. And I don't know if you're up for that. It's pretty late. If you're up for it, I'm up for it. But
cheese is good. Oh my gosh. I should probably get rolling. So
yeah,
as much as this is fantastic. This is fun. Thank you.
I wasn't thinking it would take as long to get through, but he says so much stupid stuff.
Yeah, and you don't want to miss a bit. So
yeah.
Q and Drexel, you couldn't have both me and Drexel. Technically, we're the same person. That's why you've never seen us in the same room at the same time. So
right. I'd need a third camera too, and I can't do that.
Well,
what is this? This is the Jerry Springer show. We got extra cameras here.
No, we can't do that.
My goodness.
So, provolone. Oh man, step your game up, man. It's all about that Munster cheese. Golly, that government provolone.
People want me to go on, even if I have to soldier on without you.
Well,
They think I could just do it without you here.
Well, I'm sure you can. You've done a pretty good job without me, but you know.
I mean, I can go on, but you know, you're my guest.
Well, I probably should. It's been. I didn't realize it was this late.
The time went really quickly.
It did. It always does. So, but yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. Isn't the channel's already in the?
Yeah, Q's channel is in the description. It's Out of the Darkness on YouTube. You can find it in the description. You do typically a Sunday show.
Typically Sunday afternoons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing a show this Sunday, and we're working on some special guests. So definitely check in. If you are not subscribed to the show, subscribe to the show. You'll be glad you did. We'll always have some pretty good content, pretty good guests, and we have some fun. So
really they do. There's no better place to get in touch with your absolute 1990s boomer conservative representative, Mr. Tim Miller, who frequents the show, who I like very much but disagree with all the time.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
And you just have good topics and good discussion, so it's worth a watch for sure. Go subscribe to his channel and check out the Sunday show and whatever other show you put out too. I mean,
yeah. We'll be putting out more content, so we're trying to build up the subs and just get more involved. Want to hear from the people and give the people what they want. So yeah, against Sunday Night Football, Q. What the hell? Yeah, I know, but it's football. Football is only for 16 weeks. The Out of the Darkness is forever.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna keep going, I'll put it on in the vehicle on the way home. So
yeah, just make sure it's hands free.
Oh yeah, well, we definitely don't need them problems. So Tim will come and get me himself. So.
Someone asked if I will be a guest on your show, and what happens?
That's a good question. Because I actually wanted you and Lady Rackets.
Yeah.
On the show
at the same time.
Why not?
That's because all the kids. It's difficult.
Oh, it's after they go to bed.
Oh yeah, I guess we could do it from here.
Yeah.
I forget that we could call.
Don't you guys think it'd be a great show to have Nick and Lady Rackets? The chat agrees.
Yeah.
Well, the chat agrees.
We'll have to see. But what happens often though is I'll listen to your show and then I'll get so incensed at what is being said by one of your guests that I will contact your producer and demand a hangout link immediately and come and start screaming at someone.
Well, this week I have a friend of mine who just got out of a Chinese prison.
Yeah.
He's been locked up for quite some time. And
China number 4.
And this dude was like in jail for, I want to say it was like 4 weeks before they even let the US consulate know they had him, right? So it's a pretty crazy deal. So hopefully he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about this Hong Kong phooey going on right now and what exactly that means. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I think that with some of the other topics, we're going to be talking about a little bit of reparations also for all the college students out there, all the college athletes out there. So yeah, it's gonna be a good deal. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, just as my main man Nick once said, don't talk to the popos.
Don't ever talk to the popo.
Don't talk to them. So nothing good ever comes out of it. So I mean, looking at the interview, honestly, dude, I wonder if think about it this way. I understand it's Florida, but if that chick could walk into that house, into that apartment building, put 2 rounds into Botham John, and get 5 years, if this dude would have shut up, I have to imagine that even halfway witted counsel could have gotten him off with 10. I mean,
if he would have shut up, he would have gotten off the whole thing. I mean, the guy would not. He would not be in prison. I
mean, that's insane to me. That's insane to me. So I think he didn't do himself any services, and he already told us he can't fight. So this dude's gonna be dropping a lot of soap.
Yeah. Oh no! I forgot he can't fight.
He can't fight. This is gonna be a rough 20 years, yo.
Oh my goodness.
So, all right. Well, hey, y'all have a great night. Thank you very much. It's been real. And Amber Geiger, there you go. There you go. And she did remind us all that she didn't need to suffer anymore. She had suffered enough.
She suffered
enough. It was tough being
She
her.
Basically died for our sins, if I remember right.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what happened.
So yeah, so she shouldn't be punished anymore. She'd already paid enough. So all right, guys. Hey, have a great night. Make sure you subscribe to Out of the Darkness. Out of the Darkness. We'll see you guys on Sunday. And keep on working on Nick and Lady Rackets. It'll be great to see you. All right.
All right, man. Night. Hey, catch you later, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
See you. All right.
Yeah. All right. We will soldier on. We will soldier on. I've got to get to the spot in the video, which is right about here. And I'm going to do... for the sake of audio, I'm going to switch over to my headphones for this. And just give me a second to get that situated real quick. We've got that one. And then we've got this thing almost there. That one. Okay. I'll have to adjust the volume in just a second. Q is great. Out of the Darkness is a great show. Let's see how the judge reacted to this. This is, the judge's impressions of the case. So if you don't know, juries convict people, judges sentence people, and judges have a ton of latitude and leeway to determine how that sentencing is going to go, what factors they use. They get a lot of deference in how they do this. So they get to do stuff that or utilize things that you wouldn't be able to use at trial to convict someone to find them guilty. They get to utilize those factors in how they dole out a sentence. Oh, hey.
I would think that we also need a $7 charge for DNA because I don't think we have DNA.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, he's just assessing some
so
fees
Mr. Drejka,
here.
You do have the right to a hearing on the amount of restitution and the fees and costs. Would you like a hearing on any of that, or do you want to waive or give up your right to a hearing and agree to the amount of the fees and costs and agree to the amount of restitution?
We'll waive it.
Okay, and you'll agree to the amounts?
Yes.
All right.
Solid camera work.
It's been a very emotional case, obviously. And what separates the judiciary from the other branches of government, of course, is that we don't look at what others may think, and we don't look at poll numbers. We are here to do justice. And
sure you are.
That's what we do every day in this courthouse on a daily basis. That's what we strive to do here every day. And in this case, like in every case.
Yes, I realize that the judge's name is literally Joey Baloney. I know his name is actually Joey Baloney. But this is not a fake. This is not fake. This is real. This is true.
That's what I will strive to do in this case. Under the law, the people of the state of Florida, at least under certain circumstances, have the right to possess and carry firearms. However, with those rights come responsibilities. Each of us has a duty to act reasonably and responsibly toward others. Each of us has a duty to preserve and protect human life.
That's not true. We don't actually have a duty to preserve and protect human life. So that's not like appealable or whatever. He's making a moral statement, not a judicial statement. But you have no affirmative duty to preserve and protect human life. If you have a firearm and a carry permit and someone is getting killed, you have no duty to draw your weapon and defend them. That's not a thing here. We don't get to compel that type of behavior. So, nice moral grandstand, but absolutely not true.
Sean Brown, the defense firearm expert in this case, said a couple of very important things during the trial. Number one, it is everyone's responsibility to not create conflict so that a person must use a firearm.
Boom. Drejka had admitted to creating conflict, and the judge is taking that to heart, and that is true. We do have a duty to not create conflict because conflict is an infringement on someone else's rights by logic. It's the non-aggression principle, right? That's the idea.
And number two, that a person must avoid conflict and shoot only as a last resort. John Tyler, who was Ricky Kelly's boss in this case, testified during the trial that he owns a firearm, and in his training, he was taught to remove himself from heated situations. That makes sense. The jury in this case found that the defendant did not act reasonably and did not act responsibly when he shot and killed Marquise McLaughlin back on July 19, 2018. It's important to understand the context of all the facts in this case so that everyone has an understanding as to what led up to this.
It's important to understand things so everybody understands. I love judges.
What happened. The defendant was 47 years old at the time of the shooting. According to his own taped statement, his father was a law enforcement officer, and he himself always wanted to be a law enforcement officer. But he stated that his father did not allow him to become a law enforcement officer. And at one point, he even said that the father said that he would break his arm if he became a police officer for whatever reason. So he became a clearanced tree trimmer, and he retired in 2006 and 2007. He indicated that he inherited a lot of money from his mother, so he was retired for a long period of time at a young age. He did have a daily
13
routine.
years, man. 13
while he
years.
was retired. He would go to the Circle A convenience store every day, and he would buy Monster drinks. I think the owner of the store said that he would buy 4 at a time. I think the defendant indicated that he bought 2. But one of his main hobbies, and let's be honest, the evidence showed that the defendant was a wannabe law enforcement officer.
First of all, I mean, aside from the fact that he just called him a wannabe law enforcement officer, this guy's buying, what, 4 rock stars a day? He should be executed. Or monsters, whatever. 4 energy drinks a day, he should be put to the sword.
He became the handicapped parking space monitor and enforcer at the Circle A convenience store. When people parked in the handicapped parking space, the defendant would inspect their vehicles and would photograph their vehicles. And why would he do this? In his taped interview, he said why. And in his own words, it was to F with people. That's exactly what he said. In the transcript, and these are exact quotes here, the defendant says, but when they see me doing stuff like that, they automatically think, hey, what's this guy trying to do? F me. And then the detective says, wouldn't you think that a little bit if somebody came taking pictures around your car? And then the defendant says, well, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So he is agreeing that he's confronting people to harass them and mess with them, and in his words, F with them. So apparently when he does this and people show respect and perhaps fear, he has no problem with the way things are going because he is getting respect. He is enjoying himself being a wannabe law enforcement officer of this handicapped parking space. By the way, this handicapped space is on the side of the...
Real quick, those energy drinks, literally a Call of Duty LARPer. Like, actually, though.
Circle A. It's not even in the front where the front door is. So it's not even the best the parking space in the whole parking lot of the Circle A. I understand that there's a ramp near there, but it's also near the front as well. So it's not even a really ideal parking space. So when there's disrespect that's shown to the defendant, he becomes irate. And an example of this is back on February the 14th of 2008. Ricky Kelly parks his truck in the infamous handicap parking space at the Circle A convenience store. Kelly goes into the store to buy a soda. The defendant approaches the truck. The defendant inspects the truck, and he takes photographs of the truck. Kelly comes out of the store and asks the defendant what he's doing. They get into a heated argument.
He's describing the prior instance. This is not the instance that just happened. Okay, this is the one where he called the guy's boss.
The defendant feels disrespected, and he says, according to Mr. Kelly, and I quote, "I should kill you. I should shoot you." And by the way, the defendant admitted that he had this verbal confrontation with Ricky Kelly, and he admitted that the only thing that happened out there on February the 14th was a verbal confrontation. And according to Ricky Kelly, he says, "I should kill you. I should shoot you." The defendant then goes into his...
He's saying he left the facts undisputed. He admitted to the conversation and he didn't dispute the contents of the conversation, so they're defaulting to what Ricky Kelly said. That's another reason you get a lawyer on this stuff. Although I don't think that one went to trial or anything like that, but it was a police incident report.
His vehicle and is rummaging around in the center console, apparently trying to get a gun. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that he's trying to get anything else when he goes into his vehicle and he is searching for something. Right after he says, "I should kill you, I should shoot you." So probably the smartest thing that anyone did in this case is what Mr. Kelly did at this point, which is to hop in his truck and drive off. The defendant then calls Mr. Kelly's boss, John Tyler, and in the taped interview, the defendant did admit that he called John Tyler. And according to Mr. Tyler, the defendant says, and I quote again, "If I had a gun, I would have shot him." So the defendant admits it's just a verbal confrontation out there. And according to Ricky Kelly, he says, "I should kill you, I should shoot you." And he says to John Tyler, "If I had a gun, I would have shot him." So the owner of the store speaks to the defendant after this, and he tells him he needs to modify his behavior. He tells the defendant to stop messing with people and stop harassing people and stop fighting with people because it's not worth it.
The owner of the store. Now, Michael Drejka has called this his store about 100 times. But the owner of the store told him to stop. This is another huge reason that this guy gets convicted and that he gets the sentence that he does. You've been asked by the owner, please stop doing this. Now, in the interview, he said he didn't really have a conversation with the owner about that. So, it kind of seems like he's lying about it. But guy told him to not do it. This guy still did it.
And then the defendant says, according to the owner of the store, and I quote here, "I cannot help it. I get myself in trouble." Well, the evidence showed that the defendant did modify his behavior. But he didn't stop messing with people, or harassing people, or confronting people, or in his words, effing with people. This is how he modified his behavior. It seemed like he didn't actually have the gun on him on February the 14th, based upon his statements and the fact that he went in looking for something in the vehicle. This is how he modifies his behavior. Now when he confronts people and he harasses people, he carries a firearm. That's the modification of the behavior. Instead of stopping harassing people and confronting people and creating conflict, he modifies his behavior by actually having the firearm on his person. During the taped interview of the defendant, the detective says, "Does it ever go through your mind that when you go up and talking to these people, informing them of them being parked in a handicapped spot, that they might not take that right, that this might go sideways a little bit?" And then the defendant says, well, sure. But that's why I take precautions as well. Then the detective says, like what? What kind of precautions? The defendant says, well, I'm a very careful person and I have a permit.
Yeah. See,
so what?
The judge is flat out telling him, like, you're talking about aggressing on people because you have a gun. You're looking to shoot someone. You're looking for the confrontation that ends with you drawing a gun on them. And if you notice, the judge indicated this right away. He's not necessarily saying that this guy wants to go out and kill people, but he's saying that this guy wants the power trip. That's kind of the theme of the judge's narrative here, right? And he says, early on, he said, if the people treat him with respect or even fear, then he kind of gets what he wants. But the moment that he's confronted with someone who doesn't treat him with what he considers respect, things go south. So the judge is drawing a factual narrative here and painting this guy out as the tough guy. You know, he needs the adrenaline rush or the dopamine hit of being the big dog on the block.
What he's saying there is he can create conflict, he can create confrontation, and if there's an issue, he has a firearm. So if he creates a conflict and things go sideways, he can just shoot somebody. That's really what he's saying. So that's the defendant's mindset that leads up to what happened on July the 19th, 2008. And his mindset's important because although it's arguably not that significant in a manslaughter case, it's very significant in a self-defense case, justifiable use of deadly force or not. Then comes the shooting death of Marquise McLaughlin on July 19th, 2018. Brittany Jacobs drives her vehicle to the Circle A convenience store. Marquise McLaughlin is in the front passenger seat, and their 3 young children are in the back seat. Brittany parks in the infamous handicap parking space. And most of this is on video.
Sarah says there's a reason I hate stand your ground laws. This isn't stand your ground. This wasn't stand your ground. It has nothing to do with stand your ground at all. This case is not a stand your ground case. This case was a regular justifiable use of deadly force case. The only problem with it was the guy doesn't appear to be justified. He instigated the conflict, and he never reached the point of having actual fear. He didn't provide any evidence that he was ever afraid of losing his life. So stand your ground didn't help him here, and I know that's a common misunderstanding, especially with this case, because it was billed as a stand your ground case, but it's not at all. Also, he would have had no duty to retreat. So stand your ground means that you have no affirmative duty to retreat from a situation. You can pull your gun and fire the moment you feel that fear of imminent bodily harm, or imminent serious bodily harm, or imminent death. If you're on your back on the ground, there is no duty to retreat. So stand your ground wouldn't apply in that way either, because there's no reasonable expectation for him to stand up and then retreat otherwise. So even outside of a stand your ground case state, this would have been handled in roughly the same way. So I want to clarify that, because that's a misconception. Some states have a requirement where you're supposed to, quote unquote, like back up to a wall or a corner. If you're laying on the ground, your back is literally to a wall. It's just horizontal. So this isn't stand your ground. They did not get the stand your ground motion. I don't know if they ended up trying it or not, but that's a pretrial motion. They did not win that motion. The stand your ground had nothing to do with it.
We see Marquise going into the store along with their 5-year-old son, little Marquise, to buy some drinks and some food. The 2 youngest children remain in the back seat. Brittany remains in the vehicle. Michael Drejka, the defendant in this case, then drives up rather quickly and parks his vehicle near Brittany's vehicle. And this is right on the video. And he just seems to come out of nowhere, kind of like a superhero, to make sure he enforces this violation of the handicap parking spot. Now, I don't know where he came from. There's a gun shop across the street. I don't know if that's where he was, but he just seems to come out of nowhere. And the most ironic thing about this whole case is he parks illegally. He doesn't even park in a parking space. He parks close to Brittany Jacobs to argue about her parking illegally, and to do this, he zooms up and he parks illegally. That's the most ironic thing about this whole case. So a wannabe police officer is there. He gets out of the vehicle. He approaches Brittany's vehicle. He looks all around the vehicle, looks into the vehicle. Brittany rolls down the window. And like Ricky Kelly, she's not going to be as respectful as the defendant would like. She argues with him and shows a lack of respect. The defendant becomes irate. He points at Brittany and screams at Brittany, and this is on the video. And
so why does the parking space matter? I see a couple people talking about the parking space and doing illegal things to prevent illegal things. Typically, the rule about infringing upon the law requires you to be preventing a crime of greater risk. So you park, or to do something. You park illegally to prevent an assault, right? Like you pull your car up and double park to prevent someone's getting beaten on the side of the road. So you just get out of your car and you run up and you shove the guy off or whatever. That's where you're committing a minor infraction to prevent a major infraction. This is actually the principle of, you can shoot someone to prevent them from murdering someone, because your act is preventing something that is a greater wrong. So the judge brings it up because he brings it up as a joke mostly, and just this guy's state of mind. But this guy is professing to be interested in illegal parking, and then he parks illegally in a way that could impede others. And if the person moved, hypothetically, if the person left, his car would impede access to the handicapped spot based on where he parked. And it may be a minor impediment to their leaving. So he's just kind of noting that the guy does this. It's ironic. It's a little bit funny, but at the same time, it's an equal infringement, basically. You've got 2 parking violations that have been committed, and there's no purpose. Why didn't he just pull into a spot? He's really laying out how much this guy was looking for this confrontation and how much this sort of interaction was what he was after. He's after this parking spot, this handicap parking spot interaction. He sees it as a personal mission.
It's corroborated by one of the witnesses.
Now, let me be clear. The judge clearly sounds like Obama. A little different mannerisms to his speaking, but ultimately, not bad.
Who indicated that she thought that the defendant was being threatening, that he was loud and confrontational and threatening. Now, Marquise is in the store and he's told by somebody to go out into the parking lot because there's an issue out there and he needs to go out there. Marquise goes out there. In the meantime, Brittany's getting out of the car. She doesn't go too far. Marquise observes that the defendant continues to be irate and points at Brittany and is yelling and screaming at her. Marquise approaches the defendant, and no doubt about it, he pushes him down, and he pushes him down hard. The defendant then pulls out his gun, and let me say this about the video. Believe your own eyes. All right? The gun comes out. Marquise doesn't step toward the defendant. Marquise goes back and he turns his body as if to flee back into the store. Now, I know that that's not what the defense argument was, at least pre-trial, but one thing that I noticed is that Daniel Buffington, the pharmacologist, testified in this case, and he testified that he saw the video, and he testified that when Mr. Drejka pulled out the gun, that Marquise McLaughlin backed up and retreated and turned his body.
That was the defense's witness, the pharmacologist that they're talking about. That's why the judge is making it so significant that the defense's witness who watched the video said, yeah, the guy backed up and turned his body.
I don't know if he was actually supposed to say that, but that's exactly what he said. So you have to believe your own eyes, whatever that is. The defendant then shoots Marquise in the side. Obviously, this corroborates the fact that he was turning his body.
Yeah, and this is something that if you haven't watched the sentencing video or researched the case, you don't understand. You might not know that the shot did not go into the chest of Marquise, which if he was advancing on him, you would expect the shot to enter into somewhere on the front of his body. Instead, as he was pulling away, the shot enters on his left side, goes into his lung and his heart that way. So they're corroborating the forensics with the video, in which you can see he does back up the moment the gun is visible. He actually stops his movement, he backs up and turns to move before he is shot. And so that type of evidence is absolutely crippling to the defense of, I thought he was moving, he was coming for me. He's coming forward, he's moving forward, he wasn't backing away. And these things would be less important if Drejka didn't go ahead and say that if he was backing away or even standing still, that he wouldn't have pulled the trigger. If he had maintained that he was in fear for his life, well, first, if he had ever stated that he was in fear for his life, and then if he had maintained that he was in fear for his life throughout, he might have been able to overcome the fact that he shot a guy who was walking away, because it does happen very fast. I would not want to be Drejka in this situation. I would not want to be Let me be clear on that. I would not want to have to pull my gun to make a decision on whether or not to shoot. It's very fast, and it's possible that if the guy didn't see the gun, that he could come. He could have advanced and continued hurting him. He could have tried to kill him. We have no idea, and neither does Drejka. He's just been knocked down. To be absolutely fair to him, but the problem is he never once states that he's in fear for his life during that cop interview, and that is damning for him. You have to be in fear for your life. And when you combine that with what looks like the intent to police the spot, to get into confrontations, to cause people trouble, and then to use your firearm as the leg up in the confrontation, when you combine all that with him saying that, oh no, I definitely wouldn't have shot him if he didn't move forward, and then he doesn't. That's bad. Bad times.
In a defensive position, that's not an offensive position, that's a defensive position when you go back and you turn your body and you try to get out of there. Marquise then flees into the store where he collapses and he dies right in front of his 5-year-old son. The defendant is later interviewed and he admits the following: that Marquise made no verbal threats, that he said nothing at all, that he had no weapon. The defendant admitted that he was only slightly dazed when he fell. The defendant insisted that Marquise took a step toward him right before he shot him, and at one point the defendant stated that Marquise took even more than one step. And again, in the taped interview, the detective says, and I quote, "He only made one step," and then the defendant said, quote, "He barely made the second step before I pulled the trigger." So he was saying that there was one step and then the beginning of another step. But if you look at that video, Marquise is not advancing. The defendant admitted that the shooting would be unjustified if Marquise was retreating or standing still. Again, here's the taped interview, and these are direct quotes. The detective says, "If he didn't come toward you, would you still have fired a round?" The defendant says, "Hell no. There's no reason to. If he's retreating, then I don't need to use my firearm." The detective says, "What if he's standing still?" And the defendant says, "I still don't need to use any firearm." And again, the video indicates that Marquise wasn't going toward him, that he wasn't standing still, that he was retreating and he was turning his body. Under Florida law, to justify the use of deadly force, the appearance of danger must have been so real that a reasonably cautious and prudent person under the same circumstances would have believed that the danger could be avoided only through the use of that force. The jury found that the defendant's actions were not excusable and they were not justified. No one really used perfect judgment in this case. Perhaps everyone could have done a little something a little bit different. Perhaps some people could have done a lot different. But the evidence in this case shows that the defendant created conflict and created a confrontation, that he shot and killed an unarmed man who was backing up and retreating and was trying to save his own life by retreating once he saw the firearm. And he did flee into the store where he died right in front of his young son. One cannot say that that is unaggravated in regard to all of these facts. In order for me to depart, it's a two-pronged test, and it's one of the unusual situations where the defense actually has the burden of proof. They have to show, number one, that there's a legal reason for departure, and number two, that I should do it under all the facts and circumstances. They have to show both prongs. I do agree with the state in that I'm not really sure that I heard any remorse in this case. What I've heard is that the defendant felt that he was justified in doing what he did and that he would do it again. That's not really remorse. In regard to this interview with Reginald Roundtree, I've never seen it. It's not part of the record. I heard from the defense that he was remorseful there. I heard from the witnesses that he was remorseful about not being able to see his dogs and his wife. The bottom line is this, that I really haven't heard in this courtroom any remorse.
This is potentially an error of his defense team, although it's hard to say because they took a strategic approach. They made this, they knew this would be a media case. They made this case very publicly about self-defense. They tried to rally a lot of firearm carriers. They actually did not get as much support as they wanted. They were met with lots of resistance because people watched the video and they thought I wouldn't fire in that situation. So as part of that, they were really pimping the justification angle, and in their consideration to push that justification angle, they may have overlooked the necessity for a downward departure. This is only if you lose. It only matters if you lose. Of saying it's really unfortunate that someone died here. I really wish I didn't have to kill him to defend myself. I really wish that those kids didn't have to go on without their father. I really wish he wouldn't have shoved me because I really wish no one would have died and none of this would have happened over a parking spot. I really wish that, but unfortunately, I was in fear for my life, and sometimes that's how it goes. But I really wish he didn't die from it. I really wish he would have pulled through in the hospital. I didn't even know that I hit him. I was firing to neutralize a threat. I wasn't trying to kill anybody, and it really sucks that a guy died. All of these types of statements anywhere in the record would be beneficial to this guy, but they couldn't point to any of them because they never had him say anything like that. They're going so heavy on the justification. But here's the thing. You can be sad that you killed someone even if you're justified in doing it. And they didn't walk that line very well. So that ends up boning him quite a bit on the downward departure, because that's pretty much the judge's. If that prong of the test for downward departure isn't there, then the judge can throw the whole thing out. And that's what he does. That's what he does. If you don't know what a downward departure is, you have sentencing guidelines based on your criminal history, based on the crime, and based on any aggravating factors. And so then the judges have, like a rubric, like a grading rubric on how they go ahead and issue the sentence. A downward departure says, well, the guidelines say this many years to this many years. We're going to ask you to enforce those with house arrest, or we're going to ask for a reduction of the time to less than a year, or we're going to do one of these things. We're asking for a downward departure based on these factors. And there's a set of factors. One of them is showing remorse, which he did not do. According to the judge, he didn't do at any point in the case. And there's several opportunities from the moment he's told at the interview, which I'm going to try and go back and find before the show's over, where he's informed that the guy is dead. He doesn't seem to be remorseful. But even if you're not remorseful then, you can be remorseful later and just say, I was in shock that the guy died, right? I've never killed anyone before. I didn't know how to react, but I saw the hurt on his family in the courtroom. Any of these types of phrases really do help you out. The problem is I guess if you're like I'm not calling him a sociopath, but if you are a sociopath, that makes things more complicated. But they really should have had him say anything that would help him out here.
So irrespective, quite frankly, of whether there is a legal reason for a departure, I'm going to find that based upon the totality of the circumstances, that a departure is not warranted. So the only reason I brought up the lack of remorse situation was because the defense brought it up in regard to legal reasons for a departure. And I'm going to find that there is not a legal reason for a departure. I'll also find that even if there is a legal reason for departure, under the second prong, I'm going to find that it is not appropriate under all the facts and circumstances here.
That's the leniency or leeway I was talking about.
All that regarding the background and the facts of the case, I'm going to find that it's not an unaggravated situation. However, there certainly is mitigation, and I have to consider any and all aggravation and any and all mitigation, because my job is to do justice in the case, and that's what judges do, and that's what judges are supposed to do. There's absolutely nothing improper whatsoever about the legislative branch or the executive branch looking at the poll numbers and considering that 44,000 people said this and 44,000 people said that, but it's my job as a judge to do what, in my estimation, is justice in this case. There is mitigation in this case. The defendant was blindsided. He was pushed down rather violently. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He did indicated that he was at least slightly dazed when he was pushed down. He didn't flee. He did cooperate with the police. Perhaps the biggest mitigation is he has no prior record. Now, one reason that he cooperated with the police and he didn't flee was because he thought that he was justified in doing this, which the jury found was not true. And the evidence would also show that as well. Accordingly, after that rather detailed legal and factual analysis, the sentence will be as follows. Mr. Drejka, I'm going to find you guilty. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. I'm going to sentence you to 20 years in the Department of Corrections with all credit for time served. And I believe he has in...
Just as an FYI, I believe the maximum sentence on this was 25 years, so he did not get a maximum sentence here. I think the minimum sentence was 12, if I remember correctly, but the maximum was 25. So he didn't put him at the max, but you know he talks about aggravating factors and such like that. It's a tough play. But one thing I want to point out, he's already been found guilty by the jury, and they're not expecting the judge to overturn the jury's conviction, although they can. The judge can say, as a matter of law, this guy is not guilty. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen here, but if you wonder why he's not like shocked by any of this, he already knows he's guilty. The only news to him is the sentence length.
91 days, is that it? 92 days, with credit for 92 days. As I said before, court costs are $550. That includes a discretionary felony fine of $125.72, $100 for cost of prosecution, the $50 public defender application fee, a $7 charge for DNA. All those fees and costs are payable to the clerk's office. And there will be a restitution lien of $5,000. And who would we like that to go to? The mother, the father, Brittany Jacobs.
Ms. Jacobs.
All right. So a $5,000 restitution lien to Brittany Jacobs. All right, Mr. Drejka, you do have 30 days to appeal. And if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer for purposes of appeal, I will appoint one for you. Do you...
They the $5,000 amount, I believe, is what the family asked just to cover the cost of the funeral. They could have tried to justify a much higher restitution amount based on income or projected income over the life of blah blah blah. They could have done that. They chose to just ask for the what is actually a rather inexpensive funeral at $5,000. So that's where that 5,000 number comes from. They also would have the ability to sue this guy in civil court for a wrongful death, especially with the conviction. They would have a very good case, although I don't know that he has any money for them to take. So that being said, through the criminal process, they only went for the restitution. And when you ask for something like $5,000, the other party is likely to accept it because, and they did. They didn't want to argue over $5,000 when the judge is about to sentence this guy. But if they come out and say, the judge says, look, we're going to award them $5,000 of restitution for a funeral. You say, I'm not paying them in nothing, blah, 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 blah. Well, your sentence just got a year longer or 2 years longer. So they don't fight. It's a little kind of a scummy thing, but that's how it goes.
Have lawyers for purposes of appeal?
Your Honor, can we approach on that issue?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this is going to be about it. They're just going to sit here and...
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else to come before the court at this point?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Good luck to everyone that's been affected by this case. Friends and family of Mr. McLaughlin. Good luck to Mr. Drejka. Thank you.
All right.
So that's that. There's nothing really left to see here. What I can do, if you give me just a second, is we can go back to that. We can go back to that last video and find the spot where he's informed about the guy dying. That's here in part 2.
Let me grab a...
Whoa. I'll find it real quick. They go.
Print your name here. Agree to provide a buccal swab to detective. I'm going to put my name in. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. I understand that the law enforcement personnel will take this buccal swab of my saliva.
Yeah. Okay, so this is his consent for this stuff.
Involved with this. So.
Yes, of course, but... Okay. All right. Now we're going to do some overall photographs of you, sir, and of any injuries that you may have.
Ooh, look at that photo session.
Do you have any scuff marks right your sleeve?
Right, your sleeve.
It must have been after this.
Taken care of very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And did... Sorry. Yeah. 2130, you said?
21.
Yeah, 2130.
You say you're retired, Michael. What kind of work did you do before?
Line clearance tree trimming. Means I cut trees around the power lines.
Oh.
So I spent many weeks here in Florida before I finally moved here.
Where did you live prior to moving here?
Delawarean. Born and raised, if you can believe it. A little tiny state up there, you know.
Right next to Rhode Island.
First one to ratify the Constitution, you know.
I'm looking for it in the transcript. It might be on the next video.
Return to home.
Sorry, waiting for you.
Okay. I think it's on the next one. 1 second. Part 3. This one is much shorter.
Some bitches.
Well, they come back to clarify it again. Let's see. I'm looking for it in the transcript here. Where is this? I thought it was in that second video, but it's not.
You good on water and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
People were just here, so I've been.
Alright. Rockport's. You know Rockport's went out of business?
No.
Yeah.
Shit.
I know, man.
This is gonna be my last pair.
It's depressing, isn't it?
Like, we just want to talk to you to kind of seal up a few things and go over a few more things. Is that all right? Just to go over, just kind of clarify things.
Clarify away.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, kind of what type of activities do you do? Do you do any like karate or anything?
No. No,
Okay.
I am definitely not.
I'm looking
that
for it. I'm
active,
looking
and
for it.
I am not in that good a health to be that active.
I'm not active either. What's your health issues? Or you got health?
I've got GERD. I've got some breathing problems from my smoking over the years, and that's really about as far serious goes. Cholesterol was serious, but under control.
How long?
Control.
Okay, that's a good thing.
I don't see it.
How long ago did you retire?
2007.
2007. Where from, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't see it in the transcript. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in the first one. Just a second. Let me pull this up. Check through the first one's transcript. Okay, seriously, just pause. Oh, come on. This one doesn't have a transcript? Rude. Rude. Where was it? Let's see if we can find. I'll check. I know it's on the JCS video. Okay. There's a transcript of this one. Gotta go. Oh, man, I'm not finding it. Where is this? Okay. Huh. Well, I don't know how to find this. I'm probably going to put together a short video on this, and I'll see if I can find it for that. I know I've seen it. On one of these videos. I just don't remember which one, where he sees the cop tells him that the guy did die. Like, yeah, he just so you know, he did know. And the guy, Drejka, kind of sits there and he says, well, thank you for telling me. I did ask about that. I did ask. Which maybe he thought that was showing remorse, but that is not. Again, the scary thing is Drejka may still be walking around had he talked to a lawyer rather than to the cops. I mean, that's how it goes. His going in and talking to the police is what buried him. I still think that this is not a justifiable shoot. It just, he inserted himself into the situation. The guy was retreating. I don't want to be in that situation. If I'm in that situation, I may pull the trigger too. I don't know. I don't want to have to deal with that. But here's the thing I do know is I'm not going to walk up to someone over a handicap spot and make a deal out of it. I'm just not. I might say, hey, why are you in a handicap spot? I might say that. I frankly don't really care, so I'm probably not going to. But I might call someone out for something at some point. But most of the time, I've got a family and kids to get home to. I don't need to be inserting myself into other people's affairs, especially when someone else might have a gun and a bad day. So I'm probably not going to be in that situation. But if I were somehow wrapped up in that, I don't know if I pull the trigger or not. But what I do know is that following that trigger pull, I definitely don't talk to the cops. And that's the one thing you've got to walk away from this with, is that you've got to have an attorney present for this sort of stuff. It may be uncomfortable. You may spend a longer time you may spend a longer time in processing. You may have to spend the night in jail. You may have to do those things. But you've got to have your lawyer answer those questions or help you answer those questions. Because there was a video. He could have looked at the video and seen that the guy backed up. He could have said, oh man, and while they're watching the video, tells his lawyer, man, I thought he was walking towards me, but I look at this, he's backed up. What do we do about that? And the lawyer says, okay, well, we got to establish that you were in fear for your life, and you remained in fear from the time you got hit to the time that you pulled the trigger. That's what we've got to establish. I mean, this is a fast thing. We can argue. The video is going to be hard to overcome. We can argue about the video, but what no one's going to be able to argue better than you is, were you afraid for your life? So when we go talk to the police, when you do make a statement, you stick to that. I was afraid I was going to die. I got hit really hard. I'm not in the best health. I was afraid that this guy was going to start hurting me, that I was going to die. I didn't know if he had a knife or a gun tucked away somewhere. Even if he didn't, I've seen people get hit. I've seen people get knocked out. I watched the internet. I'm scared. All of these things could be brought in as statements to talk about why this guy had to pull the trigger, because he must have felt he had to. And without that, though, without those statements on the record and getting what the cops got, you're done. You're buried. So, like I said, I'm not here to change people's minds on whether Drejka's shoot was good or not. I think it was bad. You can think it was good. This is the hardest part of self-defense, is what point is killing someone justifiable is a really, really hard question that courts and people struggle with, because someone's dead at the end of the day. So there's no shame in having a disagreement over what that is. I want to point that out. And I'm not here to change your mind on that. I'm here to tell you exactly why he's in prison and will be forever. And it's entirely in that interview. Entirely in that interview. And why he's in prison for as long as he is because even during a year-long trial, they couldn't point to one spot on the record where he showed remorse for what he did, because they never thought they were going to lose the case. They thought they could get to a jury and say, Basically, if you were knocked down, wouldn't you want a gun to save you? Unfortunately, they didn't get that. I don't think Pinellas County is the most Republican county in Florida either. So I don't know if they were going to get that sort of response, but that's what they were going for. And the other thing to consider is that is Florida, and Florida flipped script on guns quite a bit after Sandy Hook, and maybe they didn't take that into account. I don't know. But they were really banking on that. At some point, he could have had a couple lines that just said, I'm really sorry someone had to die. I'm really sorry kids grow up without their dad. He seemed, looking back, he seemed like he's probably a decent person. Maybe he had a bad day, but he put me in fear for my life. I wish it didn't happen this way. I wish I didn't have to defend myself because someone died from it. Any of these types of statements could have possibly reduced his sentence. Don't know if it would have. You never know. But it would have been a start. They would have at least ticked off the remorse issue. All right, let's go ahead. Hit these chats. We'll do Justice Chats first, and then we will do the Super Chats. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. And then we're going to wrap it up for the night. Remember that tomorrow is the Dollhouse Phil episode. Phil is he's a manufacturer of sex dolls. Should be a great interview. I'm looking forward to find out the legal and personal hurdles he has to deal with in this type of taboo industry, where the market's going, what he thinks about the philosophy of all of it. All of that stuff is what I'm looking forward to. So if you do leave during the Super Chats, adios. Let's do this. The Pie Baker says, in reference to weed from Amazon, I know roughly 100 people that work at Amazon, cough. They don't even know half the crap that goes through their own building. The rest don't care. Half the imports have Chinese shipping labels and in white/black bags. Lucas Z says, that interrogation reminds me of an incident I read about where a guy falsely accused of sexual assault got tricked into waiving his rights to a lawyer because the cops told him that lawyering up would mean they would have to detain him. But they told him the truth, kinda. The Pie Baker says, which doesn't make it okay. This is why cops are not on your side, especially when you're talking to them across a table. Pie Baker says, this tactical DMF reminds me of a coworker from my Paul Blart days. When cops responded to events on his off days, or on his days off, Mr. Tactical was a subject of gossip between the cops. Mercenary X says, oh God, Nick, please, I can't stand watching this anymore. The stupidity is just too much. Is it possible for a jury to find this guy not guilty by reason of mental defect because he's just that stupid? No, unfortunately. At this point, I can't see how he could be competent. People do it every day. Every day. Beige Devil says, I am okay with the outcome in this case. A moron got shot and a moron went to prison. I do feel some sympathy for the families, though. Seems like the moron who got shot would have eventually assaulted someone else. The wannabe cop should have known better. The interesting thing, in your opinion, is that the wannabe cop not only would have eventually done this to someone else, he's done it before several times. It just didn't result in a death. So, stupidity all around. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that if someone was, in my perception, if someone comes into a store and says, hey, you need to go check out outside because someone's, accosting your wife, and I come out and someone's like yelling at Lady Rackets and the kids, I don't know if I knock them down or what. I mean, I probably don't. I don't tend to resort to violence, but I don't know what's going through my head or what I perceive in that moment. It's really important to remember that this guy, I know people say without the shove, the guy doesn't get shot, but without the confrontation, the guy doesn't get shot either. And that the confrontation comes first. Beige Devil says also, why did the judge ramble out? He doesn't know about if there's a gun store around the corner. That one, that's just judges. Judges just do that. Good Lord, judges are dumb. And they have power over us. We should absolutely elect judges and remove them when necessary. The problem with electing judges is they're really hard to remove once they're elected. Really hard. And then Beige Devil says, good Lord, this judge is a grandstanding, self-righteous, preening douchebag. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. How do you represent your clients without wanting to jump over the bench and force feed pricks like him a pool noodle encrusted with broken glass, nerve agent, and pig feces? Well, professional restraint. That's what law school is really all about. It's keeping you from putting hands on them judges. No, it really does suck when judges are treating you poorly or reading the law wrong, and there's not much you can do about it at the time. You take it up later. You take it up on appeal or reconsideration or whatever you need to do, or you just overcome it at the next hearing, depending on where in the case you are. But it's obscenely frustrating. Also, you drink. You just drink. That works. Okay. Joshua says, I am off to sleep, but before I go, please enjoy this free super chat. Hey, thank you. Blaze Wheeler says, have my free super chat. Thank you. Your streams make my night shift job go by super quick. Freighter J says, careful Q, if you do constitutional carry, you may be limited to only 3 rounds in a 38 special. Mesty Yoku says, I'm a Mexican. How dare you speak truth of cartels? Alistor's Knight says, Nick, have you heard about Camelot 331 and the potential lawsuit against him? He's being targeted for speaking out against his former employer. Is that the GameStop guy? I'm supposed to reach out to him and see if he'll talk to me. But yes, I've heard of that. Wilhelm Golbert says, Marquise McLaughlin is my late relative. I can't be here for the shooting clip. I'll come later during the deliberations. Is that real? Wilhelm, is that true? That's amazing. Ann America says, excited to see you covering this. JCS Criminal Psychology did a video out on as well, and I 100% agree. Kid was flat out walking away. Truly sad. Mike Testa says, it's an EFAP meme where they replace every word with Jeb Bush. You should go on that podcast. It's called Every Frame a Pause. I've heard of them. Mike Testa says, stay back. Stay the puck back. Mike Testa says, Nick, I'm afraid that channel is taken IHE. Jason of the Great Awakening says, as a disabled driver, I am often accosted by these self-appointed parking officers checking my permit. They need to BTFO. Seriously, leave the people getting to get fined. Yeah, I agree. Mike Testa says, hey, I love the parody where you told NBA to shut the puck up or those pants are coming down and you're getting bent over. I haven't heard that. Oh, no. Alliant Devil says, is there any difference between a deadly shooting or a clubbing over the head in the case of a home invasion? Yeah. And is there any difference based on being in the home or just on your property? That depends on the state. That's going to depend on the state. But yes, there's definitely a difference between a shooting and a clubbing over the head. Always. Unless they both end in death, then there's less difference. Mike Testa says, legal blows, said Captain Marvel could hurt. Mike Testa says, the Don for asking her to smile. Yeah, that's... well, that was the hottest take he could give. Pongo D says, Nick, your shirt is nearly as red as your face. It brings the redness out, really. Darklink BJ says, free super chat. Nick, have you thought about doing a show on Zimmerman? I mean, yeah, but it's kind of old news. It's old news. The one thing everybody can kind of agree on is Zimmerman's an asshole. I think Zimmerman was justified in the shoot based on what we know or the facts that we have. There could be, unfortunately, there could be facts we don't know, but Trayvon is dead, so he's not there to give those facts. But if there's a point where you're getting your head pounded into the ground, that you do have the right to draw on fire to stop it. Because a reasonably prudent and careful person would be in fear of imminent death. And even if you instigated the situation, at some point that fear can come back, can outweigh what happened. If your instigation wasn't an instigation of lethal violence or like an intent to lethal violence, that it becomes a very complicated question. But I don't really want to dwell on Zimmerman. It's a hot button topic for people. I've always thought that Zimmerman was, based on all the information I've seen, that Zimmerman was was probably a justifiable shoot. Mike Testa says the gas stations at night are never your friend, ever. Blaze DMP says, when dealing with cops, shut up and lawyer up. No truer words, my friend. Tillip says, I'm Nick Rekieta, and I'll take one shot for every subscriber I gain in the next 60 minutes. That's not true. I don't know why he would say that. That is not true at all. I don't want to die. Shaggy says, YouTube gave me a free super chat, so might as well send it to someone who deserves it. Hey, thank you. Thanks for the content that makes long drives much better. My pleasure. Thanks for watching. Freighter J says, Skeeter's process server notarized his own affidavit of service of Ty. By lemon logic, that makes it a fraud. Ty needs to subpoena him so he can ask about the nature of this fraudulent affidavit. Oh, no, he didn't. The process server notarized it himself? Oh, that's funny. Elliot Joubert says, the Drejka said, and that's when I started blasting. Cannibal Smolikoff says, I vote we call your fan base the fourth Rekieta. Rolls it right off the tongue. No one important says, it's like with Vic versus Kick Vic. Kick Vic keep running their mouths while Vic stays quiet. Kick Vic is obviously hated and can't be trusted while people continue to love Vic. Contrarian 420 says, nice job soldiering on, Rackets. Cheers. Hey, my pleasure. Bad Dragonite says, Nick interviewing donut operator plus Mike the cop, ... TLJ Screwjob says, a judge that looks at facts in a case? How weird. How weird. Bad Dragonite says, sure, he wasn't drinking Mountain Dew gamer fuel. Gross. Robert H. sent a lemon dancing sticker. Lemon dancing. Timmy Carl says, what about that South Park episode where Cartman shot Token? Does that count as stand your ground? I'm not familiar with the scene. Maybe I should do a Legal Eagle video and review that scene. Bad Vibe says, I believe it was superficially premeditated. This outcome looks inevitable. I think he got what he deserved. And Asia Frazier says, grandstand judge is still better than Chup. Yeah. Well, we'll see how Chup does tomorrow. That could be interesting. So, all right, guys, that's what I have for you today. Oh, wait a minute. Beige Devil, I missed this. Let me start that outro. Start that outro here. Oh, we're gonna have to turn it down. Beige Devil says, to clarify, I think the dead guy would have assaulted someone else or had done it before. Seems like he had a serious lack of impulse control. Moron on both sides. Mike Testa says, watch that clip I told you about NBA and you with Drexel. I want to see your reaction. House of 1,000 Jebs. And then Austin Hartless says, sweet tea G Fuel win. Right now. Keemstar, get on it. Get on it. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. I will hopefully see you tomorrow for Phil from the Dollhouse. And I will try and update on how the hearing goes as far as Vic's situation in some way. So stay tuned to the channel. It'll either be a community post or a short video. And if it's a short video that merits a longer video on Saturday, then so be it. That's what I got for you guys. Hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed Q. Hope you enjoyed the video stuff going in there. Hope you enjoyed the true crime stuff, right? Like looking at these things and talking about what went well and what went bad for people. I think I like watching it and analyzing it myself. So hopefully you guys like the analysis. But all right, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good night. Peace. Also check out the cards. There's going to be cards. I don't know how the cards work, but there will be cards. So peace. Peace.
But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet. There's no one who explains the thought better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law